AT&T Cotton Bowl from Dallas, Texas. Alabama, an NCAA juggernaut on defense. Texas Tech, an NCAA juggernaut on offense. It is a beautiful day in Dallas, Texas. Temperatures expected to climb into the mid-70s, and we welcome you to the 70th AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic. The 18th ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders taking on number 13, the Alabama Crimson Tide. And a belated Happy New Year to you and yours. Alongside the coach, Terry Donahue, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome to college football here on Fox. All the talk of this game, Coach, the Texas Tech offense against the Alabama defense. Who will win today? Let's start on offense with Texas Tech.
Well, Tom, this is a high-powered, high-flying Texas Tech offense led by senior quarterback Cody Hodges. This offense accumulates 500 yards of offense every game, 40 points a game. They've got 4 wide receivers that have over 60 receptions. They're going to move the ball on Alabama and stress that Alabama defense.
Well, you talk about Alabama's defense, Coach. Number 2 overall, number 1 scoring defense in the country. They only give up 11 points a game.
Alabama on defense is speed, speed, speed. They have 11 guys who can run to the ball, led by All-American linebacker D'Amico Ryans. This is a complete package. This guy's an athlete. He's smart. He and his teammates are going to play a lot of defenses, try and confuse Tech. Texas Tech has never played a defense as talented as this Alabama defense is.
Well, something's got to give here today. You couldn't ask for a more picture-perfect afternoon. And from the Big 12 Conference, the team trying to run it up on the scoreboard today, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. What an offense under Mike Leach. Their signature game came against Kansas State when they had 669 passing yards. Their Cotton Bowl hopes were riding on the final play of the final game when Torian Henderson dashed in and beat Oklahoma from 2 yards out, sending the Red Raiders to their 3rd Cotton Bowl. And now from the Southeastern Conference, we welcome the Alabama Crimson Tide. Perhaps the most electrifying play of the year, turned in by now injured Tyrone Progro in the win over Southern Miss. Their most impressive win, though, against Florida, a rout, the middle game of a 9-game winning streak. Defense led the Tide in snuffing out Tennessee, a game won in the final moments by Jamie Christensen. And the Tide marching on to the Cotton Bowl. It's their 7th trip. Alabama, the dean of college football bowl appearances. They played in more than any other Division I school. They have won more bowl games than any other in Division I college football. And let's send it to our public address announcer at the Cotton Bowl, Bill Melton.
Ladies and gentlemen, we direct your attention to midfield at this time.
As the president of AT&T West will supply the coin. Alabama, there's your logo. There's your logo. I'm going to ask General Robert Clark of the U.S. Army to toss the coin. General Clark. Texas Tech, you have won the toss. They would like to receive. Which goal would you like to defend? Turn your backs this way. Texas Tech has won the toss. and we'll receive at this end. Good luck, gentlemen.
So Texas Tech, leading the nation in passing yards, will get the football. The kickoff is next. The AT&T Cotton Bowl, sponsored by AT&T, introducing the new AT&T, your world delivered. By Best Buy, thousands of possibilities, get yours. By Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world. And by Budweiser Select, finally, bold taste meets a clean finish. Expect everything.
Happy New Year, and on behalf of the men and women of AT&T, welcome to a great American tradition, the AT&T Cotton Bowl on Fox. Enjoy the game.
A pleasure to be joined today by a pair on the sidelines, and we go downstairs first to Jeannie Zelasco. Hi, Jeannie.
Thank you, sir. Belated Happy New Year. Very soon, Coach Mike Leach will reach into that back pocket and uncrumple his playlist. What will unfold on the field is sure to raise a few eyebrows. The very best offense in the college football free world consists of about 20 plays with some variations. Forget conventional wisdom about running down the clock. Their drives last over about 2 minutes. A lot of people say the offense looks more like a crowd fleeing a fire. Coach told me this morning, fire, that's good. We need the sense of urgency. Mike Leach, the surfing ex-lawyer turned college football coach, is ready to ride this tide. Chris Ricks, who, by the way, out of college eligibility, so he's joining us on the Bama sideline today, all the way from Florida State. Take it, Chris. Welcome.
Thanks, Jeannie. Coach, you've talked so much about the senior class, how much they mean to you, and everything they've been through here at their careers at Alabama. Tell me, how important is this game to you and these seniors?
Well, you know, we want to end up on a great note for these guys. They've been through a lot. They've been extremely loyal, maybe more so than any other class in the history of Alabama for what they've come through. They've showed us great leadership all year. Our guys want to play hard for them, and we're going to need them to come through for us one more time.
Thank you, Coach. Tom, back up to you.
Chris, thank you very much. A pleasure to have you with us on this January the 2nd from Dallas, Texas. Mike Leach, in his 6th year, has led the Red Raiders to 48 wins, which ties the most over a 6-year run in Texas Tech school history. And they will get the football against the Crimson Tide defense. We are underway at the AT&T Cotton Bowl. This is Danny Amendola from the 1. And hammered down at the 12-yard line. Jimmy Johns along with Matt Miller, the first two to meet him. So here comes Texas Tech, led by 5th-year senior quarterback. His first year as a starter, sat and watched for 4 years. And look at the numbers, his first year as a starting signal caller.
And Tom, one of the keys today will be whether or not Texas Tech can really protect Cody Hodges. That Alabama defense will give him a lot of different looks and really try to put some heat on him and disrupt him.
Terry Donahue mentioned a moment ago, 6 times this Texas Tech offense has started a game with a touchdown drive. Quick throw to Amendola, and he's out to the 17-yard line. Pretty good pickup on first down. We look at the rest of this Red Raider offense. 4 players with 60 or more receptions. Up front, they do a solid job, led by Manny Ramirez, the junior out of Houston, a second-team All-Big 12 performer. Weapons all across the board. Henderson in the backfield, Hicks, Filani, and Johnson, the other 3 along with Henderson, with more than 60 catches.
Just take your pick, throw it to the open guy. Mike Leach's theory.
2nd down and 3. And Hodges will tuck it underneath and slides his way to a first down out to the 25. That's one thing Mike Leach said he liked very much about Cody Hodges, his ability to run the football when he sees an open lane.
He's got a great sense of timing in the pocket. He always seems to run at the right time. A lot of quarterbacks run at different times. This guy seems to feel the pressure, have a clock in his head, pulls the ball down, makes a positive gain for a first down.
Hodges following Cliff Kingsbury, B.J. Simmons, and Sonny Cumbie as a quarterback at Texas Tech. It's become quarterback U. Throw to the far side, and the catch is made by Joel Filani, the junior out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Tom, one of the things that Alabama wants to do early on defense is give Cody Hodges a whole lot of looks. They want to try to disguise things, look like they're blitzing, defend, look like they're defending, blitz. Go ahead and make it hard on him to figure out where to go with the ball before the ball is snapped. One of the keys of the Red Raider offense is to determine where you're going to go with that ball before it's ever snapped.
Three receivers to the top of your screen, and Hodges looking around, and he's going to hang on to it. Crosses the 40, the 45, and close to midfield. And then a late hit comes in on Alabama, and look at the swarm of Red Raiders on the sideline coming after the Alabama defense.
One of the things that happens to you in a ball game like this, Tom, your players get so pumped up before the kickoff. You've worked for 40 days getting ready for this kind of a game. You've had a great season. You want to finish it off with a big win, and you got to make sure you've got control of your emotions. And Alabama's defense is aggressive by nature.
Gain of 16 from midfield on the opening drive. The Red Raiders call all their plays at the line of scrimmage and then give Hodges the freedom to check off. He's looking for the jump ball down the sideline and slightly overthrows Filani. Good coverage there by the junior Ramsey Robinson, the youngest member of this senior-laden Alabama secondary.
Alabama's got a lot of pressure on this defense today because, as you mentioned, Tom, Texas Tech has so many weapons with Filani and Johnson and Hicks. And, you know, they can spread the ball around, so they find zones and they just create space in your defense.
Plus to roll out, dodges a pair of defenders, and again, he'll keep the football and carries to the 45, a gain of 5. It'll bring up the first third down try for Texas Tech. The number 2 ranked Alabama defense. Second in overall defense, number 1 in scoring defense. Mark Anderson leads them in sacks with 7. Great linebacking core led by the first team All-American Terry talked about, D'Amico Ryans. And in the secondary, keep your eye on Harper, 41, and Pepra, 26.
That secondary is an awfully ball-hawking type of secondary. They've got 21 interceptions on the year.
Here we go, man. Here we go.
And they really, really go after the ball.
So Roman Harper, the senior out of Platteville, Alabama, having to leave the game. He's a first-team All-SEC performer. Quick slant, and the throw too high for Amendola. So will Texas Tech punt? It's no guarantee. They go on 4th down more than any team in college football. They've had games under Mike Leach where on their first possession from their own 20, they've gone 4th down and 6.
And they're successful on 4th down. They convert about 81% of the time. So you're looking at a team that has gone for it 16 times this year, converted 13.
And now Mike has made the decision he's going to punt it.
Brandon Brooks.
Alex Reyes, a junior, back to punt, and waiting, the senior from Birmingham, the speedy Brandon Brooks. Brooks going to let it fall, and then it checks up and down at the 16. So a good start for the Alabama defense, forcing the Red Raiders to punt on their first possession. Mike Shula talked about this senior class, the backbone of the Crimson Tide program during the last 5 years when NCAA sanctions and 3 coaching changes took its toll on the program, and the man who stayed with it, 5th-year senior quarterback Brody Croyle. It's a great story that here today, after a devastating knee injury last year, he's playing in his first bowl game.
He missed all but 3 games last year, Tom, and as you mentioned, this guy really clearly is the leader of this Alabama offense, but he's going to need some help today, particularly from tailback Ken Darby. They're going to have to be able to rebuild their offensive line and run the ball and control the clock and keep that Texas Tech offense off the field.
A number of changes for Alabama in their starting lineup today. We'll talk about those in a moment, particularly up front. There is Kenneth Darby, who's put together back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons and a gain of 9 on the first play. For the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Up front, the change, most notably, Antoine Caldwell has started all year long at left guard. Today he goes to center. Mark Sanders has started left guard. Darby, the outstanding tailback, led by LaRon McCoy. Travis McCall gets his first start at tight end. They are without DJ Hall, their leading receiver, who may not even play in the game. Mike Shula would not say. Quick throw the other way. And this is Keith Brown, the sophomore. And he will go the distance. Touchdown, Crimson Tide. Touchdown receiving on the year and went for 76 yards. We're talking about Alabama on offense making changes. That sight is a change. And a point after is good. So all the talk about the Texas Tech offense, 2 plays and 6 for Alabama. Two plays, 84 yards. 76-yard touchdown reception after the catch by Keith Brown. Crimson Tide had such a miserable time on offense over their final 5 games of the year. They were hit with a devastating injury to Tyrone Prothro, their best offensive player. And then their senior center, J.B. Klausner. They've had to patchwork ever since. Cami Amendola will take a knee, and the Red Raiders get it out of the 20. Let's go back to the touchdown.
You know, Tom, that last play was a little bit of a Texas Tech play that Alabama ran. They ran a little counter pass. They faked the pass, the handoff. They throw it outside. You see a great block on the outside right there by Capps, the tackle, and the guard Sanders. Both of those guys make key blocks that allow Keith Brown to take it to the house.
For Brown, his career long of 76 yards. So now the Red Raiders get it back on offense. On offense, it really doesn't worry too much about whether or not they have to punt 1, 2, or 3 times in the course of a half. Hodges being chased, finds a receiver, and is able to make the completion, it looked like, to his outstanding senior running back, Torian Henderson. And for Henderson, he's just broken an all-time NCAA record. He has made a catch now in 51 consecutive games. It's his 299th career reception. Or are they saying no? So forget all that I just said. That catch never happened.
Well, he's going to catch one today, though, Tom. I promise you. This guy is a marvelous back. He's an outstanding receiver, excellent runner. He's going to break the record. I just guarantee you, Mike Leach is going to get him the ball.
It really is amazing when you start talking about some of the numbers for Henderson, to think that only 3 players in the history of football, college football, have caught 300 passes in a career. And today he's 2 away from becoming the 4th. So there's a catch. Cuts it back to the inside and is only able to pick up a couple of yards. Jeremy Clark was there, along with Jawan Simpson for Alabama. And it is 51 consecutive games. He came in tied with Michael Larkin of Miami of Ohio with 50 straight games.
Tom, you can see the speed of the Alabama defense here. It's a little screen play by Tech, but watch the red shirts converge on that ball. They can run balls down. That's been their strength all year long.
Hodges rolling right, being chased, still on his feet, dodged a tackle from Ryans, and then has a wide open Filani out to the 41. First down, Texas Tech. What an impressive scrambling effort there by Cody Hodges.
So far, the Alabama defensive line is whipping the Texas Tech offensive line, but the difference is Cody Hodges' mobility. He can move his feet, he can avoid tacklers, and somehow he can get to the outside and get this ball down the field for a huge first down. Legs at the quarterback position is so critical against a defense as active as Alabama's.
Polani had a game this season against Kansas State where he went for 255 receiving yards. That was a single game school record. And the pass incomplete. Ball appeared to be tipped by Jeffrey Dukes, who will get a lot of playing time today because of the academic suspension of sophomore Simeon Castile. That's a big blow to the Alabama defense.
Well, there's no question when you lose a defensive back like Castile, it's going to definitely hurt you, but Dukes is a good player. Here he just falls back inside on a little hot route that Texas Tech tried to hit an open receiver quickly. Dukes makes a very nice play.
Blown dead before it ever got started, which would lead you to believe there was early movement on Tech.
Prior to the snap, full start. Number 11 of the offense, 5-yard penalty to remain second down.
Tom, right now, the Alabama defense has really put their hands on the ground. They are coming after that quarterback. Texas Tech has very large splits across the offensive line, and they're trying to penetrate those splits and trying to get after Cody Hodges. And so far, only Hodges' mobility is what saved him.
Play fake, throw across the middle to a wide open receiver. And that's Robert Johnson, their leading receiver. Johnson, a sensational junior college quarterback. Last year out of Reedley College in California, they brought him to Tech and made him a wide receiver. He was a Big 12 newcomer of the year.
Well, on this play, Texas Tech's offensive line gave Cody Hodges plenty of time. He found Robert Johnson on just a little drag route across the middle, delivered the ball. Johnson catches it, makes a positive gain, and moves the chains.
Inside handoff to Henderson, and he's gobbled up at the line of scrimmage by Juwan Simpson. This Alabama secondary has seen just about everything that you could throw at. Very experienced. We talked about the seniors, Pepra and Harper, the safeties. Madison, a senior, a corner. Robinson, the other corner, a junior. And their combined numbers over the courses of their career closing in on nearly 190 games. Just wrapped up by D'Amico Ryans.
D'Amico
Ryans. The Ronnie Lott Trophy this year. Also named the Arthur Ashe Sports Scholar winner. 3.8 grade point average coming out of high school, and a 3.8 grade point average at the University of Alabama.
And unquestionably the leader of this defensive football team. When you talk to the Alabama players, they really gravitate to this player. This is their guy, and he talks to them, and he gets them cranked up, and he's got them cranked up right now. Texas Tech is moving the ball, but it's not easy.
Third and 10, and Hodges again will keep it. And he is chopped down at the 35 by Ryans. Very close to a first down, but appears to be a yard short. D'Amico Ryans was named the SEC's Defensive Player of the Year. And what a look he put on Hodges, and you got to believe they're going to go here.
Well, you know they're going to go in this particular case, but when you watch D'Amico Ryans play, he can really cover ground, and then all of a sudden he can come up and make the big hit. He was really, Cody Hodges was lucky he didn't get knocked out of the game right there, because he took a real shot on his leg.
Call it 4th and a yard. Hodges again flushed out of the pocket, and down he goes in the 45. Wallace Gilberry.
With the sack.
Wallace Gilberry, number 92, the defensive end, is the guy that came up with that big play. He's made them all year long for this Alabama defense.
Boyd Hodges has been under heavy pressure right from the get-go. So the second time in 2 possessions that Alabama's defense has stood tall against the Red Raiders offense. The Alabama defense, the only defense in college football to rank in the top 7 in the 5 major statistical categories. And very good. They've looked early on. First down carry by Darby. Nowhere to go.
And one thing we said coming into the game, Tom, we really believed that if Texas Tech was going to be successful offensively, they had to protect their quarterback. Thus far, the Alabama defense has penetrated those big splits of Texas Tech. They have really forced Hodges to move around in that pocket way more than he's been used to.
Jimmy Johns, the redshirt freshman and the former Mr. Football out of Mississippi, was a quarterback in high school. They believe he is the best athlete on this Crimson Tide football team. A big future.
And someday may go back to quarterback here at Alabama. But, you know, the game plan so far for Alabama has really worked because they've gotten off to an early lead. This offense wants to be able to run the ball, control the line of scrimmage, eat up the clock, and keep that Tech offense off. So every first down is critical for this team.
4th down and 5 from the 47, and Croyle to throw. Good protection. Dumps it off to Darby out of the backfield, but he will be denied the first down. So after the big stop on 4th down by the Bama defense, the Crimson Tide offense is 3 and out.
Yeah, I promise you right now, Mike Shula doesn't like that series of plays, because when your defense is going to have to play against this kind of an offense, you've got to talk to your offensive players and say, hey, boys, we need to just generate some first downs. Get 2 or 3 first downs. Let our defense get over there on the sideline and rest so we can go back in there and play fast and furious. When you're 3 and out, boy, that puts pressure on your defense.
Jeremy Schatz took over as the starting punter for the Tide, the second game of the season. Amendola standing back at his own 10. Amendola from the 10. Spins his way for a couple of yards. Rashad Johnson down there to wrap him up after a 40-yard punt. Tech back on offense when we come back to the Cotton Bowl. The AT&T Cotton Bowl is sponsored by AT&T, introducing the new AT&T, your world delivered. The Texas Tech Red Raider offense. Over their first 6 games, Coach, they averaged almost 55 points a game. They had about half of that over their final 5 games, which included games against Texas, a loss against Oklahoma State, and a tight one against Oklahoma.
Well, when you watch that offense, they've exploded on occasions, but you can take certain games like Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Texas, and those teams control them pretty well. And I think this Alabama defense, probably these 11 guys on the field, are the best defense that they've seen all year long. So I don't think we're going to have a 56-point type game from Texas Tech today.
Third drive for the Red Raiders begins from their own 14. Looking for Hicks. Great coverage by Anthony Madison, the senior out of Thomasville, Alabama, making his 37th consecutive start today.
Well, one of the things Texas Tech likes to do, Cody Hodges likes to throw the ball deep and put a lot of air under it and let his receivers go up and get it. But Anthony Madison, number 9 that time, had great position on defense. He almost made an interception.
Madison in high school was recruited as a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, and a DB. Great athlete. Hodges throws high, looking for Robert Johnson. Texas Tech, located in Lubbock, Texas. Student enrollment of 29,000, began football in 1925, and it's a good history of football. You see almost 100 wins, over 500. 29th bowl appearance, and they have routed opponents in their last 3 bowl games, including highly rated Cal last year in the Holiday Bowl. That was no contest.
Mike Leach has a kind of a bowl system that he puts in for bowl practices and believes in it, and the players believe it, and they prepare well.
3rd down and 10. And the open receiver on the far side is Fulani, and he has a first down out to the 35-yard line. Let's send it downstairs to Jeannie Zelasco.
Well, gentlemen, what we have to remember about Texas Tech's offense, they may look a bit stymied, but the good counselor, Coach Leach, loves a challenge. The first half always about how the defense reacts to what they see. We saw Leach rally the entire team and say, look, we are this close. And a big thumbs up from the quarterback from Hodges as he took the field for this series, saying we are okay.
Well, Mike Leach, a very interesting character. We'll get into him more as the day rolls on. I think that a lot of people, they look at him, they hear him talk. He's a very funny guy, and they think he's a little on the goofy side. He's a sharp guy with one heck of a running back in Torian Henderson, all the way to the 40-yard line. A gain of 15 by Henderson.
Texas Tech likes real wide splits in their offensive line. That creates air, it creates running lanes, and sure enough, they spread out the Alabama defense here, execute a little shovel pass for Henderson, and he takes it right up inside for a real positive gain. The more they can split the Alabama defense out, the harder it is on the defense. The more the defense is going to try to penetrate those splits.
First down after the big gain, and it's batted into the air and incomplete. Looks like Dominic Lee got a hand on it with a pair of catches now for Henderson. He becomes only the 4th player, and bear in mind he is the only running back among the group to have 300 or more receptions in college football history.
It's unbelievable, really. I mean, you're looking at a guy maybe that when he goes to the NFL, he's Marshall Faulk, you know, a great runner, great receiver. He's got that kind of versatility. I remember Marshall Faulk when he was at San Diego State, and this guy is just as impressive at this stage.
The jump ball. Did he come down and bounce? And yes, the catch is made by Robert Johnson down to the 17.
There's a reason Texas Tech can execute so well offensively, and it's because of repetition, repetition. And when you watch Texas Tech practice and Mike Leach practice, they throw that ball 100 times a day, and they put air under it. They ask their receivers to go up and pluck it out of the air. A great job by Johnson getting 1 foot down for the completion.
For 4 consecutive years, I think they're going to review this play, but it clearly looked like his first foot came down in bounds after making the catch.
The preceding play is under review.
Well, Alabama really caught a break that the touchdown earlier in the game by Keith Brown wasn't reviewed.
This was going to be so close. I mean, is his foot on that white chalk or not? You know, I don't know. It's got to be indisputable evidence, and I'm not sure you're going to be able to say that this is not a catch. He did a great job getting that foot down.
Coach, some have called this offense by Mike Leach the most innovative offense to come around in the game of football. Forget college football, but the game of football in a long, long time. You've seen a lot of football at UCLA, the NFL. Do you agree with that as you get yet another look?
Well, I think this is a product, really. Mike Leach learned from Hal Mumme. And Hal Mumme at New Mexico State now runs this offense. He ran it at Valdosta. He ran it at Kentucky. So this offense has a real long history to it.
After review, the call on the field stands. Both feet were in bounds, and the possession was received.
You know, Tom, that was too good of a throw, too good of a catch, and too close of a call to overrule it.
Too good all around. Talk about is waiting his turn at Texas Tech behind Kingsbury, Simmons, and Cumbie. All three of his predecessors led the nation in passing yards, and now he has become the fourth quarterback in a row at Texas Tech to lead the nation in passing yards.
And he talked about learning from each one of them. Leadership, confidence, how to handle the press. You know, when you sit for a while, there's an advantage to that. You want to be playing.
And here's Henderson, shoved out of bounds at the 5-yard line by D'Amico Ryan. So they're starting to crank it up a little bit on this drive.
I think Texas Tech right now is getting more used to the speed of that Alabama defense. Early on, this game was really moving fast for both teams. And Alabama was trying to penetrate those wide splits, and the game was real fast for Texas Tech. But now they've settled in to the speed of the game.
Tech has had games this season where they'll score 14 points in the first half. You may remember that happened against A&M. And they wound up with 70 in the game.
Well, if you're Joe Kynes, the defensive coordinator at Alabama, you hope that doesn't happen to you today.
Hammered all the way back at the 18 by D'Amico Ryan.
One of the advantages of wide splits, you spread out the defense and create air. One of the disadvantages is you allow penetration. D'Amico Ryan's right there, sees that opening, he takes that gap, and all of a sudden, you've got a big sack.
Boy, how much did we enjoy our time with that man, the defensive coordinator, Joe Kynes, yesterday.
Now, he can coach some ball now. That's an old football coach that loves coaching defense.
And again, it looked like a false start for Tech.
False start. Number 9 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. It remains third down.
That was a slot receiver, Robert Johnson.
Just moved a little bit early. You know, he's looking in at the ball. He's really not listening to snap counts at all. There's no reason for a wideout who's moved out like that to ever be offsides, because he doesn't hear the quarterback. He just watches the football.
Look at a number of plays for Texas Tech. But the bottom line is right now they're losing. Into the corner, and no, out of bounds. Coming up with a would-be interception was Anthony Madison. So that'll bring up 4th down, and the field goal unit will come out for Tech. So another excellent stop by the Bama defense.
If you're Joe Kynes and you're playing defense for Alabama, you won that series, because when Texas Tech gets into the scoring zone, they're about 90% successful. And sure enough, at least you're giving up 3 points and not 7. Psychologically, that's huge for the Alabama defense.
Sophomore Alex Trelika for a 39-yard try, a season-long 47. And this one is pushed wide right. And a flag has come down onto the field. So hang on a minute. Tide celebrating on their sideline.
I think we're going to have roughing the kicker.
Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down will be repeated.
All right, does this change your thinking? If you're Mike Leach, do you think about going for it now or just go for 3?
Well, I think you kick this ball. I really do. But, you know, this snap is good. The kick looks good. But right there, the kicker faked me out a little bit. They kind of rolled into him, and he fell down when I saw him.
They'll do that. That's their job.
I know it, but I'll tell you what. I'm glad they didn't call that. That would have been terrible.
Well, they really got to fake it, especially if they miss. So now you move him up to the 24, so a 34-yard try for Trelika. And this time he bangs it through. So the mistake made by Alabama starting too soon gives the Red Raiders a second chance, and they cash in. Wait a minute now, another flag has just come on the field. Bama players are pointing at Tech. More than likely will be penalized utilized on the kickoff. College football coach, you were around it for a long, long time in your 20 years as a head coach at UCLA. Nothing like it.
Dead ball. Personal foul. Number 8 of the kicking team. Dead ball. Personal foul. For unnecessary roughness, number 69. The penalty is offset. We'll kick off.
Well, a college game today, and of course Fox Sports will be the home of the 2007 BCS beginning next January. But the pro game rolls on Fox this Sunday. The second season begins. The Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants, Sunday 12 Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, only on Fox. What a great year for Steve Smith of the Panthers, and what a way to cap a fabulous year, rushing for over 200 yards in Oakland the other night for Tiki Barber.
Boy, Tiki Barber, he's exploded, particularly in the second half of this season. And boy, the Giants are a tough team. They're going to be tough to beat. Tom, you know, it's funny about football when you're playing in certain types of games. You know, a lot of times you're playing an offensive team, you give up a field goal, you're upset about it. You play Texas Tech, you give up a field goal, you come over with your defense if you're Alabama and you celebrate it. You really do, because 3 points, that isn't a loss. That's at least a tie, maybe a win for your defense.
We talked about Alabama, a very rich tradition, and coming back to win 9 games this year in Mike Shula's 3rd year. Many believe really it's his first full year when you consider all he's had to go through the first 2 seasons. And wrapped up back at the 15-yard line is Glenn Coffey. There's part of the great heritage of Bama football, some of the names, and you go back to the '68 Cotton Bowl, the final college game for All-America quarterback Ken Stabler, soon to be second-round draft pick of the Raiders, showing off his precision passing and 2 rushing touchdowns for Stabler, but it wasn't enough. Texas A&M upset the Tide 20-16. Stabler here broadcasting for Alabama Radio today is a semifinalist in this year's NFL Hall of Fame balloting, the Snake.
Kenny came in before the game, said hello. Boy, he's a great personality, fun to be around. What a player he was. His
partner there, Eli Gold, longtime voice of Bama football and NASCAR. Another number 12 directs the Bama offense now, Brody Croyle. And a gain of 7 on the throw to Tim Castile, the brother of the suspended Simeon Castile. Well, their father was a great one. You remember him, Jeremiah Castile.
No question about it. You know, one of the things I think that Alabama's got to be thinking here, Tom, they are in a situation where they've got to just think about how do we run 3 plays and get 10 yards and move those chains. Run 3 plays, get 10 yards, and move those chains. It's great to get a big play like they got out of Keith Brown to start the game, but they need to control that ball and control that clock.
Kenneth Darby across the 25, very close to a first down. Darby, one of only 4 backs in the history of Crimson Tide football to put together back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. And you've heard of the other 3. Johnny Musso in the 70s, Bobby Humphrey, and the great Sean Alexander.
I love Johnny Musso with that cut-off jersey, and oh, he could play now. When you grew up watching Alabama play football, he was one of the guys that you latched onto.
Hand off to Jimmy Johns. Still on his feet across the 30 out to the 33-yard line. Pretty good first down pickup for Johns.
I think first down is going to be a critical down for Alabama. How much can you gain on first down? Can you stay ahead of the down and distance so that you have a lot of play selection? Alabama doesn't want to get into a lot of long yardage situations, and they've been hurt, as you mentioned earlier, Tom. They've lost Prothro, their wide receiver. They've lost Hall, their wide receiver. They've lost some weapons, so they don't want to put the whole game on Brody Croyle. He needs some help here. The running game takes that pressure off him.
Coyle in the last 5 games has sacked 26 times. Second down.
Okay, we're done.
And very close to another first down. They give that time to Tim Castile. Primarily their third down short yardage goal line specialist.
And when you look at that offensive line, it's kind of been revamped. I think that since the Auburn game, the Alabama coaches got together and said, look, we're not protecting this quarterback. We can't run this ball. We've got to be able to rebuild the line, and I think by moving Caldwell to center, Sanders to guard, they've been able to do that a little bit today, put in better blockers. It's easier to run block than it is to pass protect when you're young, and these players are young for Alabama, and so I think they've really tried to rebuild this line with the thought that we're going to control the line of scrimmage today, pass only when we have to pass.
Well, that much to go for a first down. Of course, Mike Shola played at Alabama, their starting quarterback, his final 3 years there. Took over just 114 days prior to the start of the 2003 season. After the situation occurred with Mike Price, he was hired, of course, after Dennis Franchione left for A&M. Third down. And the keeper by Coyle will hold the chains. Schuler, a 3-year letterman at Alabama. Boy, he won some big games for the Crimson Tide.
No question about it. You know, Alabama's tradition has always been a running football team, but I don't think Mike Schuler's ever going to run the wishbone. You know, I just don't think it's in his nature like it was in Bear Bryant's nature. You know, he's grown up in a pro family. He's grown up with pro offenses, and he likes to throw.
Darby on the ground, wrapped up by John Southey, the senior, playing his final game out of Southlake, Texas. Talk so much about this Alabama defense. Well, they've got some players on the Tech defense.
Yeah,
they really made remarkable progress this year on that side of the ball, led by the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, number 3, Wayne Slay.
Oh, he's a great player. And, you know, this defense 2 years ago was the worst defense in the NCAA. And this year, they were the 26th defense. In 2 years, they've made tremendous progress.
Short jump. Quick throw. That's a tight end, McCall. But excellent coverage by Huffman. We talked about Slay, the senior out of Brunswick, Georgia, transfer from Reedley College in California. The Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, forced a conference record 8 fumbles this season.
And I think what's interesting is he didn't start on this football team a year ago. He was a backup special teams player, but boy, now that he's got his opportunity to start this year, he has turned it up a notch.
Talked about the Tech offense and the Alabama defense coming into this one. And a low-scoring first quarter from the AT&T Cotton Bowl in Dallas. The AT&T Cotton Bowl is sponsored by Subway. Eat fresh. By State Farm. Great service, great rates. That's why 40 million drivers trust State Farm. By DLP Technology from Texas Instrument. HB TV doesn't get any more real than this. And by Rocky Mountain Refreshing, Coors Light. Along with Terry Donahue, Chris Ricks, Jeannie Zelasco, our entire crew from Dallas, I'm Tom Brenneman. On this January the 2nd in the 70th annual AT&T Cotton Bowl. 7-3 as we begin the second quarter with Alabama in front on a 3rd and 5. Coyle throws to the near side. It's Keith Brown who had the game's only touchdown. And it's good enough for a first down to the 44. You talked about moving the chains.
One of the things, Texas Tech plays very soft in the secondary. And as a result, Brody Coyle is going to want to throw out into the flats a lot today because they're soft flats. And so he's going to feed that ball out there a variety of ways today, either like that on drop back pass or slip it back out there. But those flats are available to him, and he knows it, and he's going to take advantage of it.
Castile in motion. A first down give is to Darby. And he's down to the 35-yard line. Ran over Khalid Naziruddin, the senior out of Spring, Texas.
Tom, it's fun to watch a team kind of unfold its game plan when you watch them practice and watch them prepare for the game. And it's, you know, Alabama's put this new offensive line together. And you probably won't see them in the shotgun today because they have a new center. They don't want to put that pressure on them. They've run a lot of shotgun in the past, but not today. They're going to try to get that big old offensive line to take over this game and pound on that Tech defense and get the ball out quick to those flats and get first downs and keep Tech's offense off the field.
On the ground again, it's Darby. Slips a couple of tackles, and then Slade chops him down at the 30. But again, they'll move the chains.
Ken Darby's a guy that's carried the ball a high 23 times this season. That's the most he's ever touched it. I'll be very surprised today when this game isn't over that he doesn't have at least 30, 35 carries. They're going to want to make this guy be a real factor in the game.
Boy, there's a factor in the game. Slay having to go to the sideline for just one play. Joe Garcia comes in to replace him. Croyle rolling right. And just throws it away. Speaking of quarterbacks, let's send it to our quarterback downstairs on the sidelines, Chris Ricks.
Well, Coach Donahue, you talk about the new center and Antoine Caldwell, and I'll tell you, I played at Florida State with David Castillo, and he was out a lot, so I had to deal with backup centers. It's very important to get that snap and have that confidence, but the starting center, J.B. Klausner, says that he's been doing well mentally, the teammates respect him, and he's a great athlete. So even though Bama misses their starting center in Klausner, they have confidence in the new center. Guys, back up to you.
No question about it, Chris. As you said, you know, playing the position, you better get the ball from that center every time on the money.
Darby trying to break it to the outside, stays on his feet. Naziruddin was right there with him to the 24. A big third down upcoming for the tie.
This is really important for Alabama to continue to play this style. The game right now is going just the way Alabama wants it. They're bending a little bit with their defense. Texas Tech's making some yards and hitting some passes, but they're not giving up big plays. But their offense now is generating some first downs. They're ahead in the game. They're not having to play catch up. Alabama right now is happy with the way this game's going.
Third and 4 for the tie. Need to get to the 19-yard line. Three-step drop. Croyle is wrapped up. Shy of the first down by Fred Threat, senior out of Midland, Texas. And now Croyle looking to the sideline. It appears as though Mike Shula is wrestling with this decision right now.
Yeah, I think the kicking game for Alabama has been very questionable this year, all aspects of the kicking game. And so I think he'll end up kicking this ball, but you do have to think about it because you get into a position where you say, well, should I go for it and try to keep that drive alive or kick it? But he's going to kick it.
Christensen had game-winning field goals in back-to-back games earlier this season, but you see he's missed 7 of his 21 tries. His long 43, this from 39. And he pushes it wide right. Both schools donning the color red. It's been a red week here in Dallas, Texas. What a great week, as always, at the Cotton Bowl.
It's fun to watch the competitiveness against the Tech fans, against the Alabama fans. You know, I mean, there's a real spirit at the Cotton Bowl this year, and both these teams are delighted to be here. You can just tell by their players and coaches and their fans. They're cranked up for the game.
Well, this time Cody Hodges is under center, not out of the shotgun, and they hand it off to Henderson, being chased by Ryan, and then is wrapped up trying to turn the corner by Jeffrey Dukes.
One of the reasons you do that, Tom, is those big splits. Alabama's been trying to penetrate those splits, and one of the things you do is you bring your quarterback underneath the center so he can control the snap count a little bit better from underneath as opposed to the shotgun.
Joe Kynes was concerned about their splits. Talk about splits, Coach, for those at home that maybe don't understand what splits are, or how important or how wide they normally are compared to what Tech's doing.
Well, you look at the Tech offense here. Normally, between the guard and center, it's 2 feet. Tech is split out about 3 feet. And so they just widen you across the front, which creates some running lanes and creates some air, throwing and running lanes.
Amendola close to the first down, needed to get it to the 32.
You know, a normal team will split you out about 8 feet from the center. You can see these are normal splits right in here. They're about 2 to 3 feet. But when you look down and you look at Tech, they've got so much more room between their players here. And as a result, they can probably spread you out somewhere 5 to 6 feet on each side of the center. So that's 10 to 12 feet wider than a conventional offense. But when you do that, there is air in those splits, and those linebackers and those linemen can run through it.
Hodges on the keeper. Only needed really about 1.5 feet, and it is a first down. Well, we very much enjoyed our visit with all of the players that we met with from both sides. You know, a lot of people in older generations, they like to say, oh, these kids today, they were as impressive a group from both Tech and Alabama, Coach, at least that I've been around a long, long time.
And it gives you real hope, you know, in the younger generation, because, boy, were they articulate. And Alabama's and Tech has all kinds of players that have already graduated playing in this game.
Jump ball down the sideline and too far in front of Jared Hicks. Again, great coverage by Madison. You know, we talk about the 2 safeties for Alabama. 14 Crimson Tide players already have earned their degrees. Roman Harper, a December graduate in management. Madison already with his degree. Pepra, not only an undergraduate degree, Pepra has a master's degree in financial planning.
And how smart was he when we talked to him? And they said that Roman Harper was really the smartest guy on the defense and gets everybody lined up. So I said, wow, these guys are a little bit smarter than I thought they were.
Well, D'Amico Ryans graduating in 7 quarters, 7 semesters.
Dead ball. Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Tom, you know, one of the things that Alabama probably has run as many defensive looks so far as Texas Tech has run offensive plays. Now, they haven't run that many different defenses, but they've run defensive looks. They line up one place, they end up another. They line up, they end up. And so they try to confuse the quarterback, and so far they are really making Cody Hodges work mentally.
Again in the air down the near sideline, and blanket coverage by these Alabama cornerbacks. We've called the name of Madison a great deal. That time it was Ramsey Robinson on the coverage.
Well, when Texas Tech's offense is slowed down, it's slowed down because defensive backs can get up and play man-to-man coverage, and the wide receivers get rerouted or they can't get off that coverage. On that particular play, Ramsey Robinson just had great tight coverage. Certainly Madison has had a couple plays today where there's just no air to get that ball in.
Hodges is hit on 8 of 18 for 125 yards. Looking around, great protection, still looking, and then misses a wide open Amendola across the middle of the field, and Hodges having to get off his seat. So Joe Kynes, as defensive coordinator of Alabama, has drawn up an outstanding game plan so far. For more on him is Chris Ricks.
Well, gentlemen, I was fortunate enough to play under Coach Kynes at Florida State, and I can tell you how an intense coach that he is. And as much as this Texas Tech's offense is talked about, Coach Kynes believes that you use a system to beat a system. If you're playing zone, play zone. If you're in man, play man. So expect him to mix it up, but whatever he does, whether it's nickel packages with 5 DBs, he's going to keep Cody Hodges and this offense on their toes. Guys, back up to you.
Chris Ricks, thank you very much. Cody Hodges struggled a bit over his last 5 games. 8 touchdowns against 7 interceptions, and He's struggling today. That's because of the Alabama defense. Early movement there on the Tech line.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 5 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Linebacker John Saudi. Alex Reyes to punt it away, and Brandon Brooks stands at his own 25. They're coming to get it. And almost did. Returnable for Brooks. And he dropped it. And was able to cover it up at the 41-yard line.
Boy, you talk about each team, just avoiding disaster. Alabama almost blocks the punt. Tech almost recovers the fumble. Both of them escape with their lives.
The AT&T Cotton Bowl is sponsored by AT&T, introducing the new AT&T, your world delivered. Alabama with a football, leading 7-3. 10:23 to play until halftime. The AT&T Cotton Bowl here on Fox. And breaking a tackle is Darby, and is able to carry out to the 46-yard line. Broke a tackle from Saudi. Kenneth Darby rushed for nearly 1,200 yards. Came back from a pelvic injury, which slowed him down at the start of this year, but he's gotten stronger as they've gone ahead.
Also a really fine receiver, third leading receiver on this team, Tom. And this guy is a very versatile back, and I think he came into this game with a mission, and that's to get well over 100 yards rushing before this day's over with. And he's on his way to getting that.
8 carries, 43 yards. This will be his 9th carry. And only picks up 1. Salty missed the last tackle. He didn't miss this one.
Darby, the ball carrier.
Had help from Keontae Dawson, playing
number 5, John Salty on the stop.
The right end position out of Shreveport, Louisiana.
Well, we talked about the improvement of the Texas Tech defense. And Lyle Sinicic is the defensive coordinator for Texas Tech, and he's really done a good job. His players have gotten older, more experienced, but they run a very sound defense. They don't like to put a lot of people up on the line of scrimmage. They like to play with 7 defenders and keep their secondary intact. But he's done a good job of keeping track of this Alabama offense, although they're getting knocked off the ball a little bit with the running game.
Handoff on 3rd down, and Castile picks up the 1st down, crossing midfield down to the 46-yard line. You got to look at our 1st down line presented by AT&T, and the chains will move for the Crimson Tide.
I think that rebuilt offensive line for Alabama, I think that's where you have to look first. Right now, they're controlling that line of scrimmage against the Tech defensive line and linebackers, and that's the game plan for Alabama.
Boyle has only thrown the ball 6 times. Completed 5, including the 76-yard touchdown to Keith Brown. He'll throw here on 1st down. Flushed out of the pocket by Scott, and too low for Darby.
Pass intended for Kenneth Darby.
Boyle, his redshirt freshman year, threw for better than 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. Came back as a sophomore and threw for over 2,000 yards, and they thought they had their guy for the long haul. Last year was the #1 ranked passer in the country after 3 games, then tore his ACL, and Alabama felt fortunate to win 6 games. This year he's been there from the get-go.
And lost an awful lot of players around him that help a quarterback. You know, when you need those wideouts to help you when you're playing quarterback.
Delay to Darby. And he is smothered, led by the middle linebacker Fletcher Session.
making the tackle.
Really good defense that time by Tech on the draw play. They just really converged on the ball. Tech's got a lot of guys that can run. Not as fast as Alabama, not as talented, but certainly every bit as sound, and they can converge on the ball. And as I stated earlier, you're talking about a defense that's 26th in the country, so they're in the top 30. They're a pretty good defensive football team.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people forget that because their offense is, talked about so often.
3rd and 9. They show blitz and drop back into coverage. Coyle's throw is low. Caught by Matt Caddell at the 40, but it'll bring up 4th down and 4. Well, now Coyle again looking to the sideline. Does Mike Shula go for it here on 4th down?
I think he's going to go for it. I really do. I think that myself, I'd punt this ball. And at this particular time, I'd punt this ball and play a little defense. My defense has kept me in the game. I've given up 3 points. It's early in the game. I'd punt this ball. But
he must have heard you.
Well, there he is. He's punting that ball.
He changed his mind.
Head coaches, you think about it. You're sitting on that sideline. You're trying to make that decision, going through Mike's head. Should I go for it or not? But I think this is the right decision here.
Well, during your tenure at UCLA, you won 8 straight bowl games. So, did this one get down to the goal line? Or is it down inside the 1? It is. That's on the 1-inch line. And that's not an exaggeration. Well done by Jeremy Schatz, the Bama punter. Wonderful to have our special AT&T Skyview camera here at the Cotton Bowl. Well, what a beautiful look. And it's got to go all the way to the end zone to catch up with where the Red Raiders begin this series. In the last series, we saw Hodges come back up under center rather than a shotgun. And that's where he'll begin from inside his own 1. Torian Henderson back to the line of scrimmage. Bama defense screaming for a safety. He did get back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, you want to talk about a tough situation for the Tech offense. You're playing the number 2 defense in the country that is fast and quick as they can be. Tech jumps in a conventional set. They got out of their spread offense. They got 2 backs in. But look at that swarm of red shirts. It's going to be hard to penetrate that defense because they can move laterally to the ball so quickly.
Timeout going to be called on the field. Well, you look at the possessions for Tech. Punt, turn it away on down, a field goal, and another punt. And now 2nd and 10 from their own 1. 2nd and 10 inside their own 1 for Texas Tech.
Texas Tech here, Tom, really has a tough situation. That defense is so fast and so quick. They've got to be thinking, we don't want to give up a safety here. We've got to try to get some yards. Just get a little room for our kicker. They're in the shotgun, but they're able to run or throw out of this, but I'd look for a real quick throw. Alabama's coming after that safety, I promise you.
Got it away to Filani, and a big completion there for Cody Hodges and the Red Raiders. 1st down out to the 18. That's a big completion.
Boy, I'd say huge, and I'll tell you the Tech offensive line did a great job that time getting Cody Hodges protected, so he had plenty of time. You can watch Bama here. They bring some pressure up inside on a blitz, but that line gets him protected. Joe Filani runs an inside slant route. Hodges gets him the ball. Gives them some space now to operate their offense.
Pressure coming again. Hodges steps up, escapes a tackle, and slides out to the 40-yard line. He duped Jeffrey Dukes.
When a defense is playing man-to-man coverage, that one man that's not accounted for is the quarterback. Alabama was playing man-to-man coverage. Everybody ran off, so there's all kinds of air for Cody Hodges to pull the ball down and to make positive yardage. This guy has very, very good timing with when to get out of that pocket.
19-yard gain by Hodges, who is a leading ground gainer today. 62 yards rushing on just 7 attempts. Exchange bobbled by Amendola. Able to pick it back up and lost a couple of yards.
Tom, it'll be interesting to watch this game unfold, but we may well go back and look at that last completion from Hodges to Filani, from the 1-inch line that got him that space and got him that room to operate their offense. That very well can be a critical play in this game and may turn out to be the most important play in this game before it's all over. I thought for sure Alabama had a real chance to get a safety on Tech down there.
Rodgers being chased. And coming up to get him and banging him out of bounds at the 43-yard line is Terrence Jones. For more on this Tech offense, let's send it downstairs to Jeannie Zelasco.
I think on the Tech sideline, they're feeling like they escaped that last missed handoff to Amendola. Obviously, communication on the line. You saw the quarterback try to signal him to get over and move. Guys, you've been touching on it all game. Bama giving them such different looks. They are making adjustments up to the final moment hand signals. The quarterback has to keep looking at the sideline to see what adjustment do I have to make.
What Joe Kines talked about with us yesterday. His entire defensive unit looks to the sideline to get the call on what they want to do on defense. No one calls it. They don't huddle up.
No, they just kind of get it from him and then get it communicated to all the players.
3 of 7 on third down is Tech. Hodges nearly lost the ball. Still on his feet. And out to the 45-yard line. But that'll bring up fourth down. Tremendous pressure by Keith Saunders, among others.
Cody Hodges has not been pressured like this all year long. Even against the Oklahoma States and the Texases of the world, he has not been under this kind of duress. And one of the things is a quarterback begins to lose his timing and his rhythm a little bit. But one thing about Hodges is he's so active in the pocket. He reminds me a lot of Jeff Garcia in the pocket with that precise timing of when to get out and when to bail.
Under pressure indeed. Cody Hodges today against this number 2 ranked defensive unit in the country. Number 1, you're wondering, Virginia Tech. Pretty nice job right there by Alex Reyes. They'll spot it at the 15-yard line. 3:31 to play until halftime. The Red Raiders slowed down by the Crimson Tide thus far. Things very sweet thus far for the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Leading Texas Tech 7-3. 3:31 to play until halftime, and this is Kenneth Darby. No room. Maybe a yard.
Good defensive by Tech on 1st and 10. That's one of the things the Tech defense has to do. They've got to be able to control how many yards Alabama gains on 1st and 10. They want to be able to force Brody Croyle into throwing situations because he's without a lot of weapons. Yeah, he's got a Keith Brown. He's got some guys he can get the ball to, but not like he's had in the past.
Pretty nifty catch made right there by LaRon McLean out of the backfield, and it's good enough for a first down out to the 26-yard line.
Nice little underneath route by McLean. He's the fullback, comes out of the backfield. Ball's delivered a little bit high, but he goes up, shows a lot of skill, brings it in, moves the chain for Alabama. Again, when you move the chains, you get a new shot at the clock. You get to keep winding that clock, and that's what you want to do if you're Alabama.
Boyle starting his first bowl game, his 28th overall career start. Alabama's all-time leader in passing yards, completions, and touchdowns. And he's looking for the long ball here. And is it intercepted? It's caught by Matt Caddell in traffic all the way down to the 23-yard line.
Matt Caddell runs a post pattern on this particular route. Croyle comes off a little play action. You can see him go down deep, and all of a sudden he gets double coverage. The ball's thrown up, but he keeps great concentration on the ball. Does like a 360 or a 180 and brings it in. Tremendous individual play by Caddell.
In between Huffman and Meeks, that's a season-long 50-yard reception for Caddell, who's getting playing time today because of the absence of DJ Hall. Off the hand of Kenneth Darby. For more on Brodie Croyle, let's send it downstairs to Chris Ricks.
Well, gentlemen, such an important drive for Brodie Croyle, trying to give Alabama some more breathing room going into the locker room. And talking with Brodie after practice on Friday and again yesterday, he said it's been a tough 4 years at Alabama, but all the adversity has made him stronger. I've looked in his eyes the past couple days, seen a very confident look in the quarterback, Brodie Croyle. He's been playing that way in the first half. See if they can capitalize here before halftime. But guys, back up to you.
Chris, thank you. And you talk about some of the weapons gone. We said Hall, the big hit to pro throw, injured early in the year, among the best in all the college game to begin this year at wide receiver. Darby bouncing it to the outside. Naziruddin is there, so too is Dwayne Slay. Excellent pursuit by the Red Raider defense.
Boy, both these teams are really playing at a certain level of intensity. I'm telling you now, you can see it from up here. Both of these teams on defense are flying around. Darby on that particular play gave a second and third effort, just trying to fight for every yard he can get.
Get a look at where the first down line is, presented by AT&T. They need to get to the 13 on this 3rd and 8. And Alabama going to spend a timeout. Croyle walking over to the officials. I don't know why you'd be burning a little time here, Coach. Why wait? You just basically let 15 seconds go by.
Yeah, I'm not sure in this particular case why, except that they want to make sure that they don't give that ball back to Texas Tech.
Well, so much has been talked about through the year, and Chris touched on it a moment ago about the seniors here. Dennis Franchione at Alabama decided to leave to go in A&M. They bring in Mike Price. He never coaches a game. Mike Shula comes in without a spring practice, basically 100 days before the start of his first year. They win 4 games. They come back last year. Coach Croyle gets hurt, as do many others. They win 6. Now they win 9, and they're at the Cotton Bowl. Is Alabama football back?
Yeah, I think it is. Although they're going to lose a very strong senior class, there's going to be some dips. But I think continuity, consistency is what Alabama wants in their football program. Mike Shula, being a graduate, having all the heritage of Alabama, understanding the university, the community, all of that, I think gets Alabama football back. Alabama has always had great players in that state. Trust me, there's going to be enough football players to go to that university and get this team back.
Well, Shula talking things over on the sideline, along with his offensive coordinator, Dave Rader. Coming up at halftime, but going band from Raiderland, from Lubbock, Texas, and the legendary $1 Million Band of Alabama. Croyle 8 of 11, 165 yards and a touchdown. This is 3rd and 8. To the end zone. Way too high. Wow. Flag came in. I think that's an uncatchable ball.
No question. That ball was not catchable.
I think they're going to talk this over. See Mike Leach signaling way too high, uncatchable. You can read his lips.
Yeah, and I think he's got a real point there, because it certainly appears we've got Caddell here on another post route. You can see that he does get pushed, no question about it. But the question is, was the ball catchable?
There is no foul for pass interference. The pass was ruled uncatchable. 4th down.
That's a good call.
Yeah, I think it is too. Antonio Huffman clearly pushed him. I mean, you can see that if this ball were thrown in the area that it's catchable, Huffman, number 36, has interference. There's no question about it. But the officials get together, they talk it over. I think it's the right call.
38-yard field goal attempt for Jamie Christensen. He missed his first try today. And this one blocked. Slay has it. Dodges a tackle and is tripped up down to the 45-yard line, and with under a minute to go, the Red Raiders get the football, and now a flag litters the field. A Red Raider player, John Salvi, had his helmet ripped off, and that's where the flag came in. It looked like Chris Hudler blocked it before Slay picked it up.
Dead ball. Personal foul. Late hit, number 33 of the kicking team. First down, Texas Tech.
That's a fullback, LaRon McClain.
Well, it appears that the snap is perfect. The kick looks a little bit low, and Hudler just gets his big arm up there, but it hits him low. The kick, I don't think, got up high enough to start with. And sure enough, you can create huge momentum with your defense when you can block a kick, get a turnover. And now Texas Tech, with this offensive team in this field position, in perfect position now, I think, to get this game turned around, in spite of the fact Alabama has dominated this first half.
Well, you tack on the 15-yard penalty, and now this drive begins at the 31 rather than the 46. And Hodges out of the shotgun, trailing 7-3. Screen. And no room to run. Maybe getting back to the line of scrimmage, Torian Henderson. The Bama defense has done not good. They have done a great job on Henderson.
Yeah, I think when you go in at halftime and you're Alabama, you're going to talk to your defense about, hey, boys, just keep playing the way we're playing. We're swarming that.
Clock ticking, under 30 seconds to play, and Hodges looking for the end zone. Got tangled up down there. Hicks and Madison, no flag.
Good no call.
Jared Hicks, their second leading receiver this season. 62 receptions without a catch today.
Anthony Madison again on tight coverage. Hicks goes way up to try and get that ball out of the air. They practice that a lot, but that ball's simply overthrown, and I think the tight coverage by Madison is disrupting some of the receiving techniques of Texas Tech.
See the numbers on Hodges. 10 of 22, third down. Shovel pass. First catch made by Hicks, and he is laid out by Harper at the 22-yard line. Very close to a first down. What a lick delivered by Roman Harper.
And there, you know, you watch Cody Hodges. He moves around that pocket. He's under unbelievable duress. Somehow he finds a way to get this ball exchanged. Watch him move in the pocket. Look at those red shirts after him. He just shovel passes it forward. And watch Harper here. Watch this hit here. Welcome to college football. Now that hurts the next day. Not only today, that hurts the next day.
Fourth down and a yard, 12 seconds to go. Tech has 2 timeouts remaining. Coyle on the keeper appears to have enough. Clock ticking now under 10. The officials stop it at 8. May have to measure, or they'll stop it for the first down. But if it is a first down, they need to get up to the line of scrimmage, because they'll start it as soon as they put it in play.
No question about it. Once they mark the ball and move the chains, the clock will start. But it's stopped temporarily in college football as opposed to pro football.
Well, we're going to have a measurement. I think Mike Leach was signaling timeout just in case they did what you just talked about. Put the ball down, said it's first down, moved the chains, and started the clock.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he wanted to see if he didn't have to use a timeout. He thought maybe he could get 2 more plays in. But he's making sure here. He's got 8 seconds on that clock. He wants to take a shot at that end zone, maybe 2 shots. And if not, at least get his field goal team onto the field. Oh, that's right.
And it is enough. Whoa, not by much. And now they'll call timeout.
Texas Tech, their second of the night.
1 timeout remaining for Tech. Let's go downstairs to Jeannie Zelasco.
Well, gentlemen, you've been talking about it all day. Cody Hodges coming to the sideline repeatedly, exhausted with questions, sitting down this last time saying, I just have no time. He's had coaches coming over to him saying, who is out there covering to you? You get the general impression that even on the Tech sideline, they can't figure out what Kynes is doing to them on defense.
Jeannie, thank you. It's very interesting, Coach Donahue, when you think about it. I mean, it's not like they're playing a bunch of cream puff defenses in the Big 12. I mean, obviously, there are some that are a lot better than others. But from where you sit right now, why has Alabama's defense given Texas Tech so much trouble today?
2 reasons. Speed, and they have attacked those splits that Texas Tech has. They have penetrated those splits. They've got people running through those splits. And I think a third reason is they've presented so many different looks for the quarterback. Cody Hodges in this offense, he likes to get up to the line, know that his first and second choices are there, or if they're not there, he wants to be on to 3 and 4 before the ball snapped. Alabama hasn't let him do that. So consequently, he's had to work harder mentally in this game, I think, than maybe any other game other than Oklahoma State, who really controlled him in the first half as well.
All right, play calling here. You got 8 seconds left and you got 1 timeout.
Well, that's what I said earlier. You want to be thinking either take a couple shots in the end zone or be able to get your field goal team on. So you don't want to come out of here with 0 points. And it depends on what happens on this particular play, how much time it takes, how much yardage you gain as to what you do on the next down.
Hicks, Filani, and Amendola at the top of your screen. Johnson at the bottom. And they're looking to the end zone for Johnson. And barely overthrown. Clock stops with 3 seconds left. And you figure here comes the field goal unit.
Either that or if you don't believe in your field goal kicker, you go for it. You know, it depends on where you're at. This ball is just really overthrown. Filani is open. You know, and the ball just has too much air on it and goes out of bounds.
So now the field goal attempt, we'll call it 37 yards by Trelika. Hit a 39-yarder for the only Tech point so far. And this one is blocked. And that's the way the first half will come to an end. The Alabama Crimson Tide defense allows 3 points in the first half to a team that averages better than 42 points per game.
Whenever you're trying to get a field goal off, penetration is the key, and or on the outside, that ball gets blocked up inside. Mark Anderson was the guy who got his arm up and got that ball knocked down. The kicking game is so crucial in big football games. This is a big bowl game. The kicking game certainly has played some havoc in the first half today.
Well, granted, this isn't the national championship game here today, but for these two programs and where they see themselves going in the future, this is a huge game.
Oh, very important. You carry this into your off-season, your spring practice, not only for you, but for your fans and everyone that follows your team. Bowl games are critically important. I learned in 1976 when I lost my first one, we were 9-2-1, and it was like we were 2-9-1. You know, I mean, everybody was upset.
Let's send it downstairs to Chris Ricks.
Thanks, guys. Coach, solid start for the Crimson Tide, leading 7-3. What are your thoughts and feelings right now at the end of the first half?
Well, you know, we'd like to have more points. You know, we had the one quick drive, quick score early, and moved the ball in 2 other drives and with 2 field goal attempts and come away empty. You know, defensively, I think we're playing well. We let them out of the hole on some third down, some long yardage situations. We just got to be able to, we got to tackle better and then get a little more pressure on the quarterback.
What are you planning on telling your team going into the locker room to make sure they stay focused, come out and finish strong in the second half?
Well, number one, it's a longer halftime with the bowl game. We've got a lot of game left. You know, this game's going to last a lot longer because of all the throwing, especially by them. So we just got to continue to play one play at a time. Don't worry about the last play. Don't worry about the next play. Play that play.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
Tom, Terry, back up to you guys.
Just like a coach, he's going to beat up on the defense, and they just gave up 3. The AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic continues with our halftime show after these messages from your local Fox station. Welcome back to the 70th edition of the AT&T Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. A 7-3 Alabama lead. And with more than 450 members, it's one of the largest bands in America. Here's the Texas Tech Going Band from Raiderland under the direction of Christopher Anderson. AT&T Southwest President and CEO Jose Gutierrez today presented a $30,000 check from the AT&T Foundation to the Field Scoble Scholarship Foundation. It aids so many here in the North Texas area. Recognized as one of the great college bands in the nation with more than 330 members, it's the largest single organization on the Tuscaloosa campus. Enjoy the sights and sounds of the University of Alabama $1 Million Band, directed by Dr. Kenneth Ozello.
This 1973 hit rose to the top of the charts and was recorded by Paul McCartney and Wings. We now close with the theme to Live and Let Die.
One of the most memorable moments in Cotton Bowl history, 1954. Rice running back Dickie Magle tackled off the sidelines by Alabama's Tommy Lewis. The officials made it a 95-yard touchdown run, and Rice won the game 28-6. They'll never forget that one here in Dallas. Back in a moment. The AT&T Cotton Bowl sponsored by Cisco, changing the way people work, live, play, and learn. Innovation powered by Cisco. By the Taco Bell Big Bell value menu. To get full on value, think outside the bun. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. And by Chevrolet, an American revolution. Welcome back to the AT&T Cotton Bowl, where it's time for the halftime pageantry finale, featuring more than 2,000 high school band members and drill team members from across the U.S., as well as the world-famous Kilgore Rangerettes, making their 56th consecutive appearance at the AT&T Cotton Bowl. The great spirit, color, and sounds of college football from the AT&T Cotton Bowl. Tom Brenneman back alongside the coach, Terry Donahue. And Coach, we came in talking for the better part of a month about the Tech offense against the Alabama defense, and I know, how could you not be so impressed with the effort by Alabama?
Well, they've done a great job disguising their defenses, really making Cody Hodges work at trying to get passes down the field. They have flushed him, they've rushed him, they've done everything they can. If Alabama plays the kind of defense they did in the first half, in the second half, it's going to be hard for Texas Tech to get their normal pace and their normal rhythm that they've had.
And it should be noted that Texas Tech's defense, which came in the top 30 in all of college football, number 8 against the pass, they've done very well, allowing just the one long touchdown. Standing by with Mike Leach along the sidelines, our Jeannie Zelasco.
Coach Leach, Alabama defense maybe even better than advertised. What kind of adjustments do you make to come out strong and get that offense work in the second half?
Well, they're advertised plenty good. The thing is, we just got beat on field possession. We moved the ball fine. We just get pinned back, and we just got to play together a little better this half.
Thank you, Coach. The leading rusher, of course, the quarterback. Last time that happened, Cody Hodges, leading rusher, Oklahoma State. And guys, we know Coach Kynes told us they thoroughly digested that tape.
Jeannie, great to have you with us here today, and we're closing in on the beginning of the second half. Alabama very late getting out of the tunnel. And some of the halftime statistics. We're talking about a team in Texas Tech that averages over 510 yards of total offense per game. You see 220, so like Coach Leach said, they're moving the ball but they're not able to make that one more play or the two more plays to get in the end zone.
Yeah, and I don't think they really have had the rhythm that they normally have. I think that when you just watch them, I really believe that Hodges' rhythm has been upset by the Alabama defense, and I think they're used to more success than they're currently having. And I believe if they can get their offensive line to protect Hodges a little bit better than they did in the first half, that they'll play better in this half. And sure enough, you know, if you're Alabama, you've got to go in there at halftime and say, hey guys, we've held this team that was averaging over 42 points, over 500 yards. We've got them with 3 points. We just got to keep bringing the heat on them, and if we do, we can win this football game.
Well, we talked about Texas Tech offensively a number of times. They've had games like this, not necessarily held to 7, but we go back to the A&M game, and there have been a number of examples through the Mike Leach years where they've been slowed down in the first half, and then they just take off in the second half. Very good at making second half adjustments.
No question. Mike Leach is a really strong game day coach. He's going to adjust, but would you have believed coming in here that Brody Croyle would have more passing yards than
Cody Hodges? No.
You know, you just wouldn't have thought it. You just wouldn't have thought it would happen right now. And sure enough, you know, that's what's happened. But that's football, and that's why you play it, and it's fun to play. And I think in the second half, these coaches will come out and they'll continue with their game plans. And I believe that Mike Leach will try to make the adjustments. It's a matter of whether or not they can block that front 7 of Alabama's.
Alabama held 5 opponents to a touchdown or less. Their defense went nearly a month, from October the 15th until November the 12th, without allowing a touchdown. And only 3 opponents this year had over 300 yards of total offense against Mike Shula's defense.
There's no question about it. This is going to be a very interesting second half. I think Alabama, as far as the first half is concerned, they think things went very well, except maybe in the kicking game, where they missed a field goal, had a field goal block, those kinds of things. But other than that, they've got to be happy with not only their defensive play, but really their offensive play, because they've made some first downs. They got a big play for a touchdown, and so they've been able to do some things offensively that have kept the ball away from Tech, and that's what you want to do.
So both these teams have dominated the opposition in the third quarter over the course of the year. In fact, Alabama on defense has only allowed 3 second-half touchdowns all year.
Boy, I tell you, if you're Mike Leach and Texas Tech, you don't want to know that.
No.
You know, you're better off just forgetting that. You've got 30 minutes of football. You know, you're playing for a Cotton Bowl championship. I think you just turn it loose and let it go. You got here playing a certain way, you play that way again.
So here comes Brody Croyle and the Crimson Tide offense. Croyle hit on 8 of 12 for 165 yards. And the wide receiver screen to Keith Brown that went for 76 yards on their second play of the game. They'll hand it off to Kenneth Darby. And he is chopped down by Vincent Meeks at the 25. Meeks out of Dallas, Texas, went to Rockwall High School. Has 12 interceptions in his career and a hard hitter. But I think he took the brunt of that late, and apparently something went awry in his helmet.
Kenneth Darby's a downhill runner, and he can light you up. Vincent Meeks comes up in support very, very quickly on that particular play. But as you said, Tom, he got his helmet jarred and had to leave the game, get it readjusted.
Second play here in the second half, and Darby pushes ahead for maybe a yard. It'll bring up 3rd down and 2. It was his second play offensively in this game for Alabama, which produced a game's only touchdown to Keith Brown.
Well, anytime you throw a little quick screen like this and get offensive linemen out in front to make blocks, you give your runner some room, and Keith Brown certainly was able to take this all the way. I think the quarterback has really worked the field very, very well for Alabama. You've got to be impressed with Croyle. He hasn't made a lot of big mistakes. He's managed the game very, very efficiently. I think that's a key ingredient for a winning quarterback.
3rd down, and we'll call it 2. It's going to be very, very close on the give to Tim Castile. Met right away by Ken Scott and company, but he appears to have enough.
I think he got it on the final push on that play. Initially, I think you're right, Tom. He was stopped short of the line, but sure enough, there was a push at the end there that I think will move the chain.
Castile missed most of last season after tearing both his ACL and MCL in the right knee against Tennessee. And he leads them in touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, 7 of those on the year. McLean in motion. This is Jimmy Johns. A play fake to him. And Coyle has a wide open receiver. And the ball is slightly underthrown to Brown. And he might be shaken up. If there's one knock on Coyle this year, it's that he has missed both overthrowing and underthrowing wide open receiver.
Well, anytime you run the ball, all of a sudden play action becomes effective. Brown runs a great route. He fakes like he's going to go outside. He runs a post inside, but that ball in this kind of a game has got to be caught by Keith Brown. It's a tough catch, but certainly makeable.
Well, their wide receivers had a number of drop balls in their first loss of the year against LSU. 2nd and 10. Screen for Darby. Salty missed him, and Slay able to trip him up after a gain of 6. Well, what a wonderful visit we had with Dwayne Slay. We talked about him growing up in Brunswick, Georgia, down near the Jacksonville, Florida area. Signed originally to go play at South Carolina, didn't work out there. So it was off to Reedley Junior College in California. He was 17 years old, got on a bus. It would take him 3 days to get to California, and the only thing he brought with him was the Bible.
You think he saw a few characters on those buses throughout?
He said, I knew I would see things I'd never seen before.
I'm sure he did.
Short drop, quick throw, first down to Matt Caddell at the 45.
Boy, I really like that call by Alabama. We mentioned earlier in the first half, they're going to try to attack the flats of Texas Tech's defense because they're a little bit soft. Here, it's just a little 3-step drop by Brody Coyle. The ball gets out fast. It's a safe throw. It's either an incompletion or it's a completion, but it's not an interception, and that's what Alabama wants to avoid in this game.
When you had 2 guys to pick from, either one of them could have caught it, running the same route about 5 yards apart. Darby tripped up behind the line of scrimmage, and the first man there, Fletcher Session, the junior from Tyler. Boy, did he come on strong as the season went on. Began the year in the outside linebacking spot, came in the middle, and had 24 tackles his final 2 games.
Boy, that's a tough transition, Tom. When you go from a weak side linebacker and then all of a sudden you have to get into the middle of that defense, things move so much quicker and the blocking schemes are different. And he's done a tremendous job for his football team adjusting to a new position.
Miller caught it very close to the first down marker and wrapped up by Naziru Dean. It appears to be short by maybe a yard. Well, now on second look, he got a pretty favorable spot. They may have to measure.
3rd down 1.
3rd yard.
This is where that rebuilt offensive line comes into play, Tom. You know, with Caldwell at center, Sanders at guard, Stabler at guard. These are the guys that have got to get this yard for Alabama's offensive team.
And Brody Coyle got it to the 45, and again they'll move the chains. Very solid opening drive of this second half of the Tide.
Very solid and really fitting into Alabama's game plan. They were so concerned coming into this game about falling way behind. And the key for them was to stay close in the first half so they didn't have to come from 14 or 17 points down, and they've been able to do that.
Play fake to Darby. And Coyle finds Brown, who hangs on to it this time. And he has a gain of 9 to the 36-yard line.
Nice job by Brodie Croyle, again, getting rid of the ball quickly. He does not want to take sacks. He wants to get that ball out of his hands as fast as he can. He's been sacked an awful lot this year. He was certainly under unbelievable duress against Auburn. But today, this new line has protected him quite well, and a quarterback's confidence will grow as the game rolls along because he's got his rhythm and he's secure back.
Our first line down. Brought to you by AT&T, and a first down carry for the freshman Jimmy Johns. Mr. Football in the state of Mississippi 2 years ago as a high school quarterback.
When you talk about a tough transition, you know, you go from quarterback to wideout a lot of times, but quarterback to running back isn't quite as usual. And they are really excited about this guy's athleticism. You spoke about it earlier, and there's no question that they're going to have to consider maybe putting this guy at quarterback because he's such a factor.
Well, I mean, you talk about an athlete. Johns in Mississippi, the state champion in football, in the 110-meter hurdles, and throwing the distance. Timeout. 5:38 to play in the third. We saw Terry Donahue do this time to time at UCLA during his 20 years. Really give it to his troops.
Hey, listen, you got to call those guys together now and rally them up, particularly when you're in a tough game like this. You know, Texas Tech isn't used to this. They're really not. I mean, this is not what they really anticipated coming into this game, so you got to get guys psychologically to come out of kind of the funk they get into.
Well, you were doing that to our TV crew last night, getting ready for this game.
Yeah.
First and 10, Alabama. Darby, nowhere to go. Wrapped up by Ken Scott along with Dawson. No gain.
Really good first down play by the Tech defense. Anytime they can win that battle, keep Alabama under 4 yards, they're going to disrupt Alabama's game plan and force Alabama to get out of what they really want to do, which is run, run, play action. Run, run, play action. When you have them 2nd and 10, it makes it a little bit different. You have to go to a different style offense.
If you haven't guessed, our Cotton Bowl is presented by AT&T today. And this is a look at our AT&T Skyview camera. Draw to Darby. And he is tripped up by Randall Cherry after a gain of 3. Let's send it downstairs to Jeannie Zelasco.
Boy, Leach's powwow there might have been longer than the meeting he had with the coaches at halftime. He was in there under 3 minutes. Tech PR was making their way down in the elevator. The defensive coaches were already on their way back up. The thought process was they had confidence in their defense, ironically. They were happy with how they were playing. Short meetings for the coaches, long meetings on the sidelines.
I think, you know, if you're Tech, you've only given up 7 points. You got to be pretty happy with your defense. I think that's right. And but they've got to make sure that they can come out of this thing without giving up a touchdown. Field goal's one thing, a touchdown something else.
3 strapped up, and Croyle in trouble. Had it batted down, but a flag on the field right where Croyle threw the pass. This would be a very long field goal try if this is where the Tide drive stalls. But we'll wait on this call from Terry Layden, our referee today.
Offside. Defense. That penalty is declined. Holding. Number 28 defense. 10-yard penalty. By rule, automatic first down.
It's Marcus Bunton, who does not get a lot of playing time, a redshirt freshman out of Taylor High School in Taylor, Texas. And what a huge play that turns out to be.
You talk about a critical call. You know, again, though, if you're Tech, you haven't given up a lot of yards. You're thinking now psychologically, hey, we're going to give them 3, but we have to make sure we keep them out of the end zone, keep them from getting 7 points.
But boy, you give them a legitimate chance for 3 now. I mean, that would have been a 44, 45-yard field goal try. Now it's first down.
Plus, they already had one blocked and one wide, you know, so.
Not much running room for Tim Castile, maybe a yard. Fletcher Sessioning in there to meet him. We'll call it a pickup of 2.
Making the tackle, number 42, Fletcher Session. A gain of 2 yards with 2nd down, 8.
I would think that Brodie Croyle will come out on some kind of a little play-action pass. Remember, those flats are somewhat soft in this Tech defense, although the field's been shrunk down here a little bit. And anytime you get down in here, you like post patterns. You like to throw the ball inside.
McLean in motion, and Croyle looking for his tight end, and it's batted down and nearly intercepted. Some confusion there between Travis McCall, the tight end, exchanging words with Keith Brown.
Sometimes you have athletes moving at such a high rate of speed, you know, and there's a lot of tight spaces, and sometimes you just have a mental error. It's hard to know exactly what happens here, but certainly Brodie Croyle has 2 receivers in kind of the same general vicinity. Brodie Croyle getting a little knocked down there by the Texas Tech defense. Adjusts his chin straps and lives to fight another day.
Croyle still looking. Near the sideline, throws it away in the back of the end zone. So another solid job by the Tech defense. Both of these defenses playing so well here today.
Yeah. I think, again, you're right, Tom. Texas Tech is really, after that severe penalty, and you know, it's easy for a team in that kind of a situation to mentally just get down and get discouraged about it. But this Tech defense really rose to the occasion, and if they can play well here, and even if this field goal is made, they got to consider it a victory for their defense.
31-yard attempt. Christensen has missed one and had another block. And this time, it's good. So Christensen, wait a minute, flag comes in very late. Better than a 6-minute drive. Or better than an 8-minute drive, I beg your pardon, for the Crimson Tide to begin this second half. Offsides against Tech. Now, this would give you 5 more yards, bring up 4th down and about 2. Put you inside the 10. Do you think about going for it?
Well, you think about it. But the old adage, don't take points off the scoreboard.
Defense. The penalty is declined. The field goal is good.
Okay. Well, he's had 2 of those decisions today. 10-3 Bama. Well, we at Fox Sports are proud to be televising our 8th AT&T Cotton Bowl, and we recently extended our relationship for 4 more years. In addition, we are honored that next year Fox Sports will be the home of the Fiesta Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, and the National Championship game. Our relationship with those BCS games will also extend through January of 2010, and boy, are we excited about that. This time next year, we'll be in Tempe. Danny Amendola brings it out to the 23.
You don't
10-3 Alabama in front. Tech getting the football. Let's go downstairs to Jeannie Zelasco.
This is the 8th Cotton Bowl that Fox Sports has had the privilege of being a part of. It's a great event due in large part to the sponsors and the people like Jose Gutierrez from AT&T. Great week in Dallas. Congratulations, and congratulations on the new AT&T.
Well, thank you, Jeannie, and thanks to the Fox Network for a job well done. The AT&T Cotton Bowl is such a great tradition. This year is a little extra special for us at AT&T. We are introducing, and we are thrilled to bring to the world the new AT&T, a company that is going to bring the world of communications and entertainment. And I would like to invite everyone to try the new company. You're going to love our products. And so thanks again, Jeannie. Thanks to Fox and to all the viewers. Happy 2006.
Happy New Year to you as well, Jose.
Thank you, Jeannie. And again, we're so elated to having our contract extended to present the Cotton Bowl and the BCS beginning next year, the Fiesta de Orange and the Sugar Bowls. The first of 4 years, and of course next year an additional game in the BCS, the national championship game. That one is overthrown on first down.
You know, Tom, too, the other thing, Fox has done such a great job with pro football. Now, when they get into college football extensively with the BCS, that's going to take it to a whole new standard. And I think it's really exciting for college fans that love the way Fox presents games, and they'll do a great job.
Go Badgers! So Tech getting the football after the Crimson Tide chewed up better than 8 minutes on the opening drive of this second half. And Texas Tech, which averages over 400 passing yards a game, most in college football, the second most overall yards per game at over 500, held to just 3 points. And again, Hodges having to put it on his hip, and he has first down yardage out to the 35-yard line. He is by far the leading rusher in the game for Texas Tech. That run right there gives him 12 carries for 80 yards rushing.
And again, certainly Texas Tech did not come into this game anticipating that Cody Hodges would have 80 yards rushing. They had hoped, you know, Henderson would have 100 yards rushing, and that Cody Hodges would, you know, not be scrambling all day long and flushed out of the pocket as he has. That last play, Alabama just did a good job on coverage, and he couldn't find anybody open. He had to run with the football, but he turned it into a positive game.
Only 3 rush, and Rodgers still is flushed out of the pocket. Nowhere to throw it. And he picks up 7. Let's check in downstairs with Chris Ricks.
Well, gentlemen, going back to Coach Kynes, the defensive coordinator for Alabama, his motor is always running. On the last drive, his defense was standing on the sideline, and he knew it before the game. He knew it at halftime, looking at the stats, how many yards Cody Hodges was running for. He told his defensive line and his linebackers, guys, sit down on the bench, catch your breath, because he knows they're going to need it. Obviously, we've seen the past couple runs, Hodges making big runs as well. We'll see if this Alabama defense can keep up with this rushing quarterback. Guys, back up to you.
Well, Joe Hines told us yesterday that Cody Hodges will earn his per diem on this Cotton Bowl trip.
He's earning it today now, I promise you. This guy has never run so much in his life.
Dead ball. False start. Number 63 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
You know, you look at Joe Kynes there, and you know, he looked at the films. He had a lot of time to prepare for this game. So he looked at Oklahoma State against Tech. He looked at Texas, Oklahoma. He went back 2 years and looked at North Carolina State 2 years ago playing Texas Tech, because he thought that they had done some good things that he might incorporate in his game plan. So this is a thorough football coach who's prepared for this Tech offense.
Henderson, who's already eclipsed the 300 career receptions mark with a couple of catches back in the first quarter, the most receptions by a running back in the history of college football. He has accounted for nearly 5,500 all-purpose yards in his career, and one of only 4 players, forget running backs, 4 players ever in Division I history with 300 or more catches. On a 3rd down and 2, it may have been early movement again by Tech.
Dead ball. False start. Number 75 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Boy, that changes from 3rd and 1.5 yards back to 3rd and 6.5.
E.J. Whitley, their big guard tackle. He's the most versatile player on the offensive line. Really, I think if you had one player on that Tech offensive line that you'd want to start your team with, it'd be E.J. Whitley. He's a big man, 6'7", 300 pounds, can play all 5 positions in the offensive line, but he was early that time.
Third and 7. Needing to get to the 45.5 yard line. Hodges throws. Too tall for Filani. He was open. And Texas Tech will punt on its opening drive of the second half.
Well, again, I think the disguise by the Alabama defense, the fake pressure, then all of a sudden dropping guys into zones has really rattled Cody Hodges a little bit because he's been flushed a lot. And Hodges is 3 of 10 on third down. He's just not been able to get his feet set, throw, step into his throws the way he's used to doing. The ball's either a little bit high, a little overthrown today.
Brandon Brooks back at his own 15-yard line. And this is returnable for Brooks. And for the second time, he bobbles it. Who has the football? Brooks able to cover it up back in the second quarter. And Alabama has it again. Not Brooks this time. One of his teammates got it.
Tom, there's an old saying in football, you've got to be a punt catcher before you can be a punt returner. And certainly Brooks today hasn't become a punt catcher first. He's got to secure that ball for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
.422 to play here in the third quarter from the AT&T Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. And the Crimson Tide with a 10-3 lead. Your first bowl game as a head coach was against Bear Bryant, legendary Alabama head coach.
Do you have to remind me of that? Come on, Tom, please. I'm still trying to get over it.
Darby, nowhere to go on a first down run.
You could have brought up one of the ones we had won, you don't have to bring
you
up
ripped off 8 in a row. I mean, we talked about that earlier. You had 8 straight wins, but it was funny. You were 31 years old. Your first head coach bowl appearance at UCLA, Bear Bryant, had been coaching for 31 years.
As a head coach.
Yeah.
He'd probably been coaching about 50. I learned a lot from Coach Bryant. I really did, and I learned a lot from that first defeat. And trust me, I built upon that defeat and tried to really understand the importance of bowl games.
Play fake to Darby. Coyle throws. Couple of receivers in the area, and Brown comes down with it out to the 37 and a first down. But a penalty flag back behind the line of scrimmage. Coyle is saying that it's against Tech.
Roughing the passer.
He's right.
Number 91 of the defense. 15-yard penalty at the end of the run. First down.
True freshman McKenna Dixon.
And here after the ball is thrown, Dixon unloads on Coyle. Good call by the referee. You've got to protect your quarterback. But really, it's interesting. Both Keith Brown and Matt Caddell, are both in almost exactly the same area. Someone broke a route, but somehow Coyle was able to hit Keith Brown for a huge game. Sometimes when things aren't perfect, they still work for you. And certainly in that particular play, Alabama, everything worked well for them.
That's 8 penalties now for better than 50 yards against Texas Tech. Coyle, chased by Dixon, lays it off to Castile, and a great open field tackle made by the senior Sylvester Brinkley. Brinkley, another product on this Texas Tech team from Reedley Junior College. It's up, in Central California?
Yeah, Central California, and a lot of good players have come out over the years from Reedley College. One of the things, Tom, if you just glance at the clock, there's only 2:41 left in this quarter. So Alabama, this is really playing well into their game plan because that clock is moving pretty quick. Tech's not been able to generate much offense, and the fourth quarter is going to be very, very hectic for them because they're going to be clearly probably behind, and they're going to have to come from behind to win.
Playing in motion on this second down. Darby escapes one tackler, and then Session is there to wrap him up and joined by others. Third down and long upcoming for the Tide. Darby today 19 carries, 61 yards. Talked about the most carries he's had in the game this year, 23, so he's knocking on the door. Bama 6 of 11 on third down today.
Texas Tech is not a big pressure team. They don't blitz a whole lot of time. Very well might be in coverage on this particular upcoming play.
This February, the fastest sport on earth returns to Fox for another season of incredible action. NASCAR returns to Fox in high definition this February. Third down for the Tide, and Croyle, good protection. Dangerous throw into the air and incomplete. It doesn't get more dangerous than that throw right there. If Nazir Rudeen picks it off, he's gone.
Now that's why Alabama wants to stay out of those situations today, for exactly that reason. Texas Tech only has a 3-man rush. They drop 8 guys into pass defense. As a result, there's not a lot of zones to throw in. That ball is popped up in the air. Normally, you'd see a Red Raider laying out for that ball with the interception.
Amendola back at his own 10, waiting on the Shots punt. Amendola out to the 24-yard line. Texas Tech in the Cotton Bowl for just the 3rd time, and the first time since 1995 against Southern Cal. Led by a very popular head coach, Spike Dykes. Keyshawn Johnson, 8 receptions, 222 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Then Cotton Bowl records. Tech's only highlight, a 45-yard touchdown pass to Stacy Mitchell as time expired. It was a Trojan rout, 55-14. And the Trojans will team up with another team from the state of Texas in 2 days for the national championship. Shovel pass to Torian Henderson, and he's out to the 39-yard line, a gain of 14. A very quiet day today for Henderson, who's made so much noise in his career. 5 catches, which leads all Red Raiders, but only 12 rushing yards.
And Texas Tech hasn't had the ball very often in this quarter. They've only had it for about 2 minutes and 50 seconds or so. You know, the rest of the time it's all belonged to Alabama. Exactly what Alabama's game plan called for.
Royal spins one way, rolls the other, or Hodges, I beg your pardon, then backs up and dumps it off incomplete. Well, we talk so much about the pressure, but there must be extraordinary coverage downfield by this Alabama secondary, because there has not been a wide open receiver in about a quarter and a half.
No, there's no question. One of the keys to this game was, could Texas Tech wide receivers get open against the man-to-man bump coverage of Alabama? And certainly Ramsey Robinson and Anthony Madison, those 2 corners have played outstanding today. Their coverage has been very, very tight.
Out to a first down to midfield on the connection to Robert Johnson. Let's check in with Chris Ricks.
Well, guys, as we saw in that last play, Texas Tech quarterback Cody Hodges catching the ball and getting rid of it real quick. The unique thing about his throwing motion is he throws the ball like this, with no laces. Very unconventional, and why he does that is his sophomore year in high school, they installed the shotgun offense. It was new to the team, didn't have a lot of time to throw. He had to catch the ball and get rid of it. With the speed of Alabama's defense and how they've been playing today, he's going to have to continue to get rid of that ball quick. Guys, back up to you.
Great stuff, Chris. And of course, many remember Chris Ricks throwing a rather unorthodox style, as sacked all the way back at the 38-yard line as Hodges, D'Amico Ryans, and Mark Anderson were back there to wrap him up. How about the grip you had, Chris Ricks? You used to throw like Terry Bradshaw did, with your finger at the end of the ball.
I was going to put it in there, but I didn't want to go over time, so I just focused on him.
Well, here you get a look at the difference between the two. The more conventional style from Brodie Croyle.
No question about it, but that last time with D'Amico Ryans coming in on you and Mark Anderson, you don't have to grip the ball. You just got to eat it. You couldn't get it off.
You better grip it so you don't fumble it. We're back after a word from your local Fox station. A quarter dominated by Bama. In a game thus far, dominated by Bama. A 10-3 lead. The AT&T Cotton Bowl sponsored by AT&T. Introducing the new AT&T. Your world delivered by Circuit City. For the hottest new technology, think Circuit City, just what I needed. By Southwest Airlines. And by Miller. There's good enough and there's better than it has to be. Miller. Good call. $1 Million Band. With nearly 350 members. Revved up for the start of the fourth quarter. Alabama leading Texas Tech 10-3. Second down and 20 for the Red Raiders. Here they come. Blitz picked up. Hodges having to keep it again. Nobody open down the field. Let's go downstairs and visit with Jeannie Zelasco.
Well, guys, no doubt Mike Leach looking for his happy place right now, but he will tell you his offense is based on increasing the odds of something good happening. He will not tolerate negativity. Another come to Leach, as those sideline meetings are called, guys, telling the players, look, I have had enough of you guys getting down on yourselves for the mistakes. Knock it off.
Well, Cody Hodges appears to be hurt. Not appears to be, he is hurt.
Particularly, you scramble as many times as he has today and expose yourself to that kind of velocity from that Alabama defense, you're going to be limping.
And they're coming after him. Looking for Hicks. Bumping down the sideline there, getting wrapped up with Anthony Madison. And with all the talk about Harper and Pepra, the safeties, Madison has had a sensational game here today.
Along with Ramsey Robinson, the other corner. I agree with you, Tom. Those two players are the guys that have really done a great job with those wideouts. This is a play before where you see Cody Hodges again on a scramble, and this, I can just tell you by watching that defense run around, there's too many bodies that are whacking at you. If you're Cody Hodges, you've been running all day long.
Well, no more Brandon Brooks dropping back to field punts. It's going to be Madison. Brooks has already bobbled 2 punts today. And Madison bounces off a tackler. And he brings it out to the 22-yard line. Anthony Madison putting Alabama's offense on the field.
Tom, this has been a day dominated by the defensive front of Alabama. They've come from the outside. They've had very, very tight coverage by their defensive backs. They've been able to come from the inside, constantly flushing Cody Hodges out of the pocket. And then when they get to you, they deliver a hit on you for sure.
Well, Joe Kynes was talking about Anthony Madison with us a couple of days ago. He says Madison might be one of his all-time favorite players he has ever had in all of his years coaching, as that pass is batted down at the line of scrimmage. Talked about how the Alabama safeties get all the publicity, Pepper and Harper, but Madison, a senior, 3-year starter. And Joe Kynes says he's the best practice player that he has ever been around.
What a statement. You know, when you talk about as many years as Joe Kynes has coached, many different schools as he's been at, you're talking about a guy like Anthony Madison. That's high praise from your coach.
Darby spins out to the 25-yard line. Meanwhile, we take a look at Hodges over on the Texas Tech sideline. He appears to be hurt. In fact, they have their backup quarterback, Graham Harrell, a redshirt freshman from Ennis, Texas, warming up.
If I'm Graham Harrell, I'm not so sure I want to go into the game. You know, when you've been watching that thing from the sideline and watching that pressure that the quarterback's been under, boy, you've got to really think about this now for a while.
3rd and 7 for the tie. Draw to Castile, and he has a first down out to the 32-yard line. Great call, great execution. They move the chain.
You know, Alabama's approach is just don't make a mistake on offense. 3rd and 7, very conservative call. Just a little draw play to Tim Castile. But he gets a little room on the outside. Texas Tech gets pinned inside with their rush, and he makes that first down by about a yard.
Fletcher Session, the middle linebacker, came up limping a bit after that tackle. Double reverse. Brown appeared to be looking to throw it. Dodges a couple of tackles, and then he took a vicious hit.
John Saldi making the tackle.
Nice little misdirection reverse by Alabama. Keith Brown, a very fast athlete, the fastest player, I think, in terms of all the wideouts that Alabama has left at this particular time. He can add a little speed to that wide receiving core. Tried to get him on a little reverse and counter that Tech defense. Sometimes not all that effective, but it slows down that pursuit by the defense, even if you don't make yards.
Gain of 6, 2nd and 4. Darby in motion. It's McClain this time. And still on his feet, carrying Red Raider tacklers. He even lost his helmet, but carries all the way out to midfield. Now that is power football by LaRon McClain.
When you're playing like Alabama is, you want your offensive line and your running backs to punish the defense. McClain, certainly on this particular play, watch him get his pads down, continue to drive his legs, and fall forward, and that really takes it out of a defensive unit.
And the clock continuing to run. Remember, Alabama's opening drive of the second half culminating in a field goal, went better than 8 minutes, and look at the time of possession.
Yeah, you look at that time of possession right there, and sure enough, I mean, that's the key thing.
Darby bouncing off tacklers and carrying 3 or 4 Red Raiders for 9. Holy Moses, those last 2 carries by McClain and now by Darby, as if to say, no chance you're bringing me down with 1, 2, 3, or even 4.
Yeah, those running backs are trying to take over this game right now, and those last 2 carries, you know, it establishes a mindset, Tom. It really does. You get in that huddle, you're an offensive lineman, you see that gets you excited, you know, and you just start saying, hey, we got to keep blocking for these guys because they're taking it to them now.
And maybe Tech beginning to tire on defense. Darby able to lunge forward on a second effort for a first down inside the 40-yard line. The clock approaching 10 minutes in the 4th quarter.
Things right now are really going just as Alabama had arranged them to be in the pregame when they talked about what they wanted to do, what they wanted to establish, what their counters were to all of the things about Tech did well. Alabama has controlled that clock, controlled the line of scrimmage, had their running backs punish that Tech defense, and kept Tech to just 3 points.
3rd down and inches, and I don't know. I mean, he didn't need much. After Darby was about a half a yard shy of the first down, this will be very, very close.
And I think Mike Shula will go for this one if he doesn't make this one.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I think he'll go for this. I think he'll try to knock Tech out. You know, Tech's only 7 points down, right? You kick that ball to them, they've been hemmed up all day long, but they still have an explosive team and a lot of good athletes. I think he'll try to sneak it again if he doesn't make it.
Well, it took all that time to figure out they needed to bring out the chains. And they're short by inches. All right. Decision time for Mike Shula. You're only up 7. But if you give the ball to Tech, you give it to them at their own 40. If you don't make it.
You come into the Cotton Bowl, Tom. You're playing in front of a national audience. You're 9-2. Cotton Bowl win puts you right back on the map. If you're Alabama, I say you go for it. I think you'll go.
Well, you call it. Castile and McClain in the I formation. And Castile has the first down.
That's why Mike Shula gets all that money to be the head coach, right? You got to make those tough decisions. But, you know, I think he felt very confident in that offensive line. Those guys have done a really good job for him up front today. They've been able to rush the ball against this Tech defense. And so I think you have a pretty high percentage chance of making it. And you also tell your team, hey, if we can't make a foot, if we can't make a half yard, we don't deserve to win the Cotton Bowl. So that's what's in your mind when you make that kind of decision.
Fresh set of downs, the clock running under 9 minutes in Dallas. Again in the I formation, this is Kenneth Darby. Breaks it to the outside, cuts it back to the inside, and wow. A shot delivered by Sylvester Brinkley. For more on Cody Hodges, here's Jeannie Zelasco.
Yeah, Coach, you're talking about percentages. I wonder what the percentages are. We're going to see Cody Hodges back out here again. I guess it's who you talk to. Hodges obviously having some problems with that right knee, doing all kinds of tests to it. We watched him try to work out, try to take the ball under center, try to take the ball shotgun. And he's obviously having problems. He can't even put pressure on that right leg, guys. But teammates coming over to him, reminding him, hey, get out here. This is it. He sat on the bench patiently, watching for years, waiting for his start. He wants to go out with a bang. I guess we wait and see. Graham Harrell, though, warming up.
Our first down line presented by AT&T. And that did not fool anybody. Fletcher Session had to leave a little while ago, has come right back in and just made a big play.
Texas Tech comes on a blitz. It's not usual for Tech to blitz. They really don't like to bring a lot of pressure either out of their linebackers or their secondary. But on this particular play, Session really gets penetration and disrupts the Alabama offense.
Well, this is a stop that Texas Tech has to have. If you move the chains now for Alabama, you keep the clock running, you're knocking on the door in field goal range, and you can put them away. Castile will be denied the first down, so it'll bring up 4th down. At the 31, you're out of field goal range here. You're not going to try it, so do you go again if you're Mike Shula?
I think you probably do, particularly if you don't feel, unless you feel you can kick the ball out of bounds inside the 10-yard line and make them go 90 yards to try and get a score. But I think Alabama will go for this. I think that it calls for this kind of a decision. You know, you've got to get that yardage, but still I think it's the right thing to do.
So typical of Alabama, the way this team won all year. They had wins over Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Mississippi State where they scored 1 offensive touchdown. They went 15 quarters without scoring an offensive touchdown and won all the games.
And they're leading today, you know. I mean, you know, with 1 offensive touchdown. So sure enough.
Well, after the delay of game will back them up, you would assume now, well, it'd be a certainty that they're going to go ahead and punt it.
Yeah, no question about that.
Offense, 5-yard penalty. It remains 4th down.
Our only touchdown of this game came on the 2nd offensive play for the Crimson Tide. A wide receiver screen that went for 76 yards to Keith Brown. The teams have exchanged field goals since then, and that's it. Well, they're not even going to drop anybody deep. Wonder if they're going to really come after this punt. No. And that ball into the end zone, so he can't stick it inside the 10. It'll come out to the 20. 6:22 to go. Is Cody Hodges coming back out for Texas Tech? We'll know in a moment. A change at quarterback for the Red Raiders. Cody Hodges shaking up the injured right knee. He tried to come on the field, but Mike Leach has sent out the redshirt freshman, Graham Harrell. A redshirt freshman out of Ennis, Texas, has played in 5 games, thrown for 392 yards, 3 touchdowns without an interception. He is the state of Texas all-time leading high school passer. And he'll start 1st and 15 after the early movement by Glenn January. What's it like to come into a game after you've been sitting the entire time? We'll send it downstairs to Chris Ricks.
Number 75.
Well, gentlemen, we see Graham Harrell coming in for Cody Hodges now fresh off the bench. And it's tough during the regular season, but in a bowl game, the atmosphere is even more elevated. We saw it with Leaf at Oregon last week against Oklahoma, filling in, couldn't get it done. It is tough in a bowl situation. We'll see if Harrell can settle down, find the zones if they're in zone, hit the vertical routes if they're in man, but they have plenty of time. He just needs to get completions. Guys, back up to you.
His first throw is off the hand of the intended receiver, Jared Hicks.
But an awfully nice throw for a quarterback that just comes in off the bench and plays against the number 2 defense in the country, a defense that has allowed only 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter throughout the entire 05 season. So he's got his work cut out for him.
Well, those are the numbers we were talking about. The 12,532 passing yards is an all-time Texas high school state record. He threw 167 touchdowns in high school. Wow.
What happens to you, Tom, is that one quarterback's voice inflections are different than the others, and so consequently,
Dead ball, false start. Number 78 of the offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
The offensive linemen have got to get used to it, and one of the things you work on in practice is trying to get them to sound exactly the same. Obviously, in this particular case, Harrell is not quite the same as Cody Hodges, and they've had 2 misfires already.
10th penalty of the game against the Red Raiders. And now you're really asking a great deal from the youngster Harrell. 2nd and 20. Throwing the ball up in the air, and it is caught by Hicks at the 40-yard line. What a throw again by Harrell, and Hicks went and got it.
Well, you talk about a young player coming off the bench and throwing just a gorgeous ball. He throws a fade route to Hicks. He just puts it right on the sideline. It's a beautifully executed offensive play, and certainly has got to generate a great deal of enthusiasm with this Tech offense. They're only 7 points down in this game.
I mean, Harrell is a man that will run this Texas Tech offense next year. We said a redshirt freshman, and Cody Hodges, a 5th-year senior. Shovel pass, dangerous. That's an incompleted pass. Boy, and he threw that thing in traffic.
Yeah, that Tech defense, I mean, the Alabama defense just came through that Tech offensive line so fast, he could hardly even get the ball exchanged. It's one of the nice things about a shovel pass, so, you know, it's just an incompletion. You know, it looks like a fumble to everybody, and everybody freezes for a split second, but the fact is that it's an incomplete pass.
Well, Cody Hodges had to wait 5 years to get his chance to play quarterback for the Red Raiders, and here in his final game in the final quarter, he has to stand and watch again. A fade this time to the far side. Did Johnson hang on? No. Shoved out of bounds at the 45 by Charlie Pepra. Well, look at the Crimson Tide defense today, and you look at some of the numbers. We mentioned only 3 opponents have had more than 300 yards of offense, and they're not there yet, Texas Tech.
I tell you, they've already knocked 1 quarterback out of the game, and they're coming after the 2nd one.
Tech only 3 of 11 on third down conversions today. And Harrell in trouble. And down he goes in the arms of Juwan Simpson. One of the few underclassmen on this Alabama defense.
Well, you can see Juwan Simpson working against E.J. Whitley, number 75, and he just really moves right through that offensive line. Again, those wide splits allow for penetration, and he was able to get into that area and go right through the area. You can see him come right here. Number 42 just slips the blocker and makes the sack. As a quarterback, you don't have a chance. If you can't get protected and get your feet set and get your rhythm, you really are at such a disadvantage.
And again, Madison back to take the punt rather than Brooks. Booming punt. He's going to let it fall. And it will continue to roll all the way inside the 10 down to the 9-yard line. Not sure about that. But of course, Madison's not been returning punts. He's filling in for a guy who can't hang on. Just been a game in this 70th AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic dominated by defense on both sides. Not just Alabama, but also Texas Tech.
No question about it. And I think, though, Tom, the time of possession for Alabama, 18 minutes to 6 minutes in this half. That really has helped the Alabama defense as well as the Alabama offense.
Darby just bottled up, maybe after a gain of a yard.
Yeah, but nice job by Darby keeping the ball inbounds. You know, it was easy there to try and get an extra half a yard, take the ball out of bounds, stop the clock. That was a good, smart play by Darby. He kept that ball inside the yard markers, and all of a sudden the clock keeps running. And the clock is the ally of Alabama. It's the enemy right now of Texas Tech.
Well, you saw Cody Hodges standing over there next to Mike Leach and the backup who came in for the last series, Graham Harrell. I'm sure Hodges is trying to talk his way back in. It's his final game.
Yeah, I'm sure he wants to go back in this game.
Draw to Darby. Spins away from one tackler. He's out to the 12-yard line. A huge third down upcoming in this game.
There's been a lot of them. There's been a lot of key plays in this game throughout the contest, but certainly if Alabama can generate a first down here and begin to make Texas Tech utilize their timeouts, that's one of the things you want to do when you're ahead like Alabama is. You want to bleed the clock. You want to make sure you leave that other team with no timeouts if you can. The way to do that is to make a first down.
Well, for seniors on both sides of the ball, Coach, you've been there 20 years as head coach at UCLA, and what games like this mean. The final game for seniors. We've documented so much about
Alabama.
Cody Hodges and what this means to him, Brody Croyle among others. We'll talk more about that in a minute after an Alabama timeout. 3:31 to play and third down upcoming.
Roller coaster ride, to say the least. You know, through the probation, the 3 head coaches, the injuries, it's been a wild ride. But we came in our freshman year, won 10 games, and if we can go out, 10-2 and Cotton Bowl champs, then that would make for a good ending for us.
And this play will go a long way, perhaps towards determining that for Brody Croyle. Fifth-year senior cuts it loose, wide open, Brown, and he overthrows him. No one between Brown and the goal line, and Croyle let it fly about 2-3 yards too far.
Boy, he's gonna remember this throw for a long time, I think, Tom. He had Keith Brown wide open down the right sideline. He just needed to put a little more air underneath that ball. He threw it a little bit flat, and as a result, he overshot his receiver.
All right, now Tech will get it back. Shots, punts out of his own end zone. Low line drive punt for Amendola. He takes it across midfield. Breaks a tackle to the 45. Amendola down to the 38-yard line. And that's where Tech will put it in play. Who will come out as quarterback? Hodges was clearly politicking his coach on the sideline, and here he comes. The last time the Red Raiders played a game without a touchdown, October the 18th, 1997, against Nebraska. That's when the Cornhuskers were the nation's elite. Reverse to Johnson. Filani, I beg your pardon, inside the 20, down to the 15, and shoved out of bounds at the 12 on the reverse to Joel Filani.
One of the things you do to a fast-flowing defense like Alabama is one that's chased you all day long. You counter them with counter plays, reverses. The reverse here to Filani is wide open. He has a clear running lane, and all of a sudden, Texas Tech, 7 points down, is sitting on the 12-yard line.
Boy, you can't talk enough. Fifth-year senior Hodges coming out for perhaps his final drive. 7 senior starters on defense for Alabama. And it's down to the final 2 minutes. Hit. Bounces off one tackler to the end zone. Touchdown, Red Raiders. Hodges limps off the field after the touchdown throw. Now the all-important point after. Trelika has never missed one. He still hasn't. Well. 10-10. Under 3 to go. Cotton Bowl is sponsored by Cadillac, introducing the new 2006 DTS Cadillac Breakthrough. 2 plays, 38 yards, 16 seconds. Cotton Bowl trophy, the Field Scoville Trophy, presented to the school that comes away with this AT&T Cotton Bowl win. And right now, with 2:55 to go, we're tied. Brandon Brooks from the 5. Out to the 25-yard line. Flags come in late. Let's go back to the touchdown a moment ago.
How much drama did he need? Cody Hodges coming off the bench, gets rid of the ball quickly to Jared Hicks. Hicks goes ahead, knocks Madison off the tackle, and does the rest of it himself
during the kick
for the tying touchdown. It doesn't get any bigger than that.
10-yard penalty. First down, Alabama.
Well, there you heard the hold against Alabama. Now, Coach, all of a sudden, they go from the 25 to the 15.
And they've got to be real careful. Now, remember, Texas Tech's defense has played very well today. They've given up 10 points. And you know, that's a ball-hawking defense in the back end of that thing, and you better be careful with the ball here. You've got a bad field position if you're Alabama, and you've controlled this game almost from start to finish. You just got to make sure you're very, very protective in this particular part of the field.
Boyle, short drop, lays it off for Darby. Boy, what an open field tackle there by Brinkley. He got help, but he stayed with Darby after a pretty good move and allowed him to go nowhere thereafter.
Boy, it's hard in the open field against a good back that's got the ball, a guy like Darby. This guy can make you miss. He has good avoid, and sure enough, Brinkley somehow wrapped him up just long enough for a bunch of other Red Raiders to get over there and help bring him down.
Clock running under 2:20. 10-10 game. 2nd down and 8 for the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Alabama 1 timeout remaining. Claw to Darby. Ran into his own man and nowhere to go. Slay, the first man to meet him from his free safety position.
Is it amazing how momentum swings in a contest like this? All of a sudden, the Tech players are jumping around. The Texas Tech defense is swarming like the Alabama defense has been swarming the whole game. There's all kinds of white shirts there covering that ball carrier up for no gain.
I'm a little surprised that Tech hasn't taken a timeout here. I mean, they just burned 20+ seconds off the clock. Could have stopped it before this 3rd down play.
And I think they're waiting for their own offense.
What a catch made by Matt Miller after Slay tried to slay him out of the 33.
Brody Broyle has made some great throws in his time at Alabama. Probably none more important or bigger than this one. You talk about being able to control your own destiny with this completion. That's what that did for Alabama.
And Slay told us, who has forced 8 fumbles this year, he told us if you hit a guy in the face with your helmet, he's going to juggle the ball and cough it up. Well, Miller didn't cough it up. First down throw is incomplete. You're talking about Slay, for those of you not with us earlier, forced a Big 12 record 8 fumbles with bone-jarring hits this year. And he put a hat on Miller.
But Miller hung on to that ball and got that first down, and Alabama lives to fight again. That was a huge throw by Croy. Huge.
Broyle steps up, finds Brooks, who thought about cutting it up the field and wisely steps out of bounds. 57 seconds remain. Alabama 1 timeout left. Their field goal kicker, Christensen, has hit on 1 out of 3 today, had 1 block, and a season-long 43 yards.
You know, who would have thought, Tom, Alabama in 2-minute offense trying to win the game throwing. You would have thought Texas Tech would be in 2-minute offense trying to win the game throwing. Football has a funny way of turning around on you.
Brown escapes 1 tackle, is shoved out of bounds at the 31-yard line. Broke the tackle of Chris Parker and then picked up another 15 yards, and the Tide now knocking on the door.
If you have to say there's the most valuable player offensively for Alabama, it's got to be Keith Brown. He has come up big time and time again for Alabama today.
Over 140 yards receiving by Brown, whose best game this year was 91 receiving yards against South Carolina. But we mentioned that they very early in the year lost their best offensive player, Tyrone Prothro, with a gruesome broken leg in a couple of different places after getting off to a Heisman Trophy-like season. And then today, and we don't know the reason, but DJ Hall was playing on the scout team the entire week, and he has not played it down in this game today, and he is their leading receiver.
And you know Keith Brown and those other receivers knew that DJ Hall was not going to play in this football game. And so when one player goes down, another player gets an opportunity to step up and perform, and Keith Brown has stepped up and performed today. I just think it's ironic. You know, Alabama, 15 quarters of struggling to score a touchdown, and here at the end of the game, they're in 2-minute offense, throwing the ball all over the lot. You know, I mean, I just would have thought Texas Tech should be doing it.
Sure. Christensen has won 3 games this year with late field goals. 2 of them came consecutively. In fact, he's the only player in Alabama history to have consecutive game-winning field goals. He beat Ole Miss, and then the next week beat Tennessee. Right now, it would be roughly a 48-yard field goal try if they don't pick up any more yardage. Career long, 5 yards less than that.
And Tom, each team has a timeout, so how you use them is going to be critically important in the last 49 seconds of this game.
Short drop, quick throw, and a dangerous throw right there made by Croyle. Parker's a step away from going the other way, but it's incomplete.
Play took 4 seconds off the clock. You know, that's how fast that ball got out there on the sideline. And they tried to go to that flat where they've had some success today throwing the ball. And sure enough, that ball, as you stated, almost got picked off. The Texas Tech corners are starting to squat down now and not giving them that soft corner any longer.
45 seconds left out of the I formation. They give it to Darby. And he is slammed to the deck by Vincent Meeks. A gain of a yard. Clark continuing, the clock continuing to run under 33, 32, 31. And what will Alabama do here? Call a timeout? Looks like they're going to try to get to the line of scrimmage and run another play. Then call the timeout. Croyle's trying to hurry him up. Clock down to 12, 11, 10. They hand it off to Darby. Leapfrogs one defender and is bottled up to the 28. 5 seconds remain and a field goal try for Christensen, who said his life changed literally overnight. It was one thing to beat Ole Miss with a field goal. It was another thing the next week to beat Tennessee with a field goal. And he's going to get a chance to win the Cotton Bowl for this group of seniors in just a moment. Wow.
You're making me nervous, man.
It's great stuff. I mean, Hodges coming back and getting on the field and leading them to a touchdown, a fifth-year senior. Brady Croyle, the fifth-year senior. We've documented all that group, like Pepra and D'Amico Ryans and Madison, all they've been through in their 5 years at Alabama.
And so much rides on a bowl game. People, I think, really aren't quite sure of the importance of some bowl games, but the Cotton Bowl is the Cotton Bowl. And, man, you can take that trophy home and put it in your Hall of Fame, and it's so critical for everybody in your organization. And Alabama driving the ball down here, down the field at the end of the game, calls their final timeout with 5 seconds left.
Christensen today is 1 of 3, as we mentioned. His first field goal try, wide right. His second try, blocked. And his third, he banked it through the uprights.
And on this kick, Tom, he either wins for Alabama or we go to overtime. That's it.
They're going to spot it. About the 45.5-yard line. The holder is Matt Miller. The snapper is Drew Lane. Christensen for yet another game-winning field goal. Can he deliver again? Ball was offline. Did it get through? It got above the crossbar. It looked like it had no chance. But Christensen has won the Cotton Bowl for Alabama. That's about as ugly as it gets. But there's nothing ugly about it for the Crimson Tide faithful. I thought it had no chance, Coach.
You know, it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be good. What can you say? You know, Alabama's kicking game has been a problem all year long for them, but they win the Cotton Bowl with a kick. How about that? Is that ironic or what?
And they go down the field, ironic as you talked about. They go from their own 15-yard line down to the 25 for a field goal try to win it.
Who would have thought? If somebody said to me they were going to win it with a kick like that, a kick like that, and win it in a 2-minute offensive drill with their offensive team, I would have said highly unlikely. But sure enough, that's why it's college football. That's why you love it.
That is a career-long 46-yard field goal for Christensen. And thus this group of fifth-year seniors, guys like Pepra and Harper and D'Amico Ryan and Brody Croyle and Anthony Madison, who lost his twin sister when she was 11. 3 sets of twins in that 12-children family. And here they've endured so much over the last 5 years. Probation, 3 head coaches, and they win their final game, their 10th win of this season. And a great year for Cody Hodges and company as well, finishing 9-3. (13-10) Bama. We'll be back to wrap it up. Roll Tide roll, they chant. Those that have made the trip from Tuscaloosa. And another look at his field goal. Look at that thing going sideways.
I'm not sure I can watch it again. My heart's pounding. I'll tell you what. Now I remember why I got out of coaching. You know, this is hard on coaches, both the winning coach and the losing coach. Look at Mike Shula. He's going to relish this win. He's going to talk about it for years to come. He will build his Alabama program off of this Cotton Bowl win.
Boy, look at that thing. That looked like off the tee a duck hook. And that's what it was. But it got through those uprights, and that's all that matters.
Well, they always say football is a game of inches, right? That one was a game of inches right there, that kick.
Well, the Alabama Crimson Tide, college football's most dominant college through the years, the most bowl appearances, the most bowl wins, their 30th today in 53 trips. And, of course, another 10-1 year, another NCAA record, 28 of those. But, Coach, we mentioned Texas Tech. Boy, their defense was sensational. Their offense clearly was hurt by Alabama, but they got a touchdown late to tie it. Let's send it downstairs for the trophy presentation to Jeannie Zelasco.
And the 70th Cotton Bowl, certainly one we will always remember. I think a few people here might look back on this fondly as well. Let's get to the hardware, shall we? Jose Gutierrez from AT&T, you want to start the roll? Or should I say the Tide?
Thank you, Jeannie. First of all, let me congratulate both Texas Tech and Alabama and